7:01, I call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. So we good. All right. Welcome everyone to the July edition of our monthly board meeting for the library trustees. Hope everyone is enjoying their summer. We have an extremely busy and full agenda, so I'm going to certainly try to hit some of the high priority items, or make sure that we hit all the high priority items. If there's any other items that individuals want to make sure that we get to tonight, obviously speak up. Otherwise, I guess we'll just start going on the agenda. We are trialing our hybrid. So we have a Zoom meeting. So welcome to everyone who's attending virtually. I think everyone is attending as listen only. So, yes. Right? All right. So sounds good. So if there's no other comments, the first thing we need to do is annual reorganization of the board. Obviously with the town elections in May, it's time for us to reorganize the board. We've been without a vice chair here for a couple months. So I think at this point, we will open the floor to nominations, if anyone's interested in either the chair or vice chair position.
I would like to nominate Doug Bowman for the chair of the board, if you will accept.
Second.
Okay. Do I accept it first, or do you?
Well, I guess you certainly could. I know that historically or traditionally, committee assignments are, as far as chair and vice chair, go from one approximately election or fiscal year to the next, but they can go for a shorter period of time, and we can always reorganize at any time if there's a commitment made by anyone that they may not want to go the entire year, but they're willing to at least start off.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, certainly for myself, it might be challenging to do the full year, but I don't know if I can know the time commitment right now. So I think I can commit kind of indefinitely for now.
Okay, great.
So yeah, I would accept your nomination. Anything else? I guess, do we just start with the chair, or do we go through all
Well, I
of
think
them?
we asked for any other nominations for chair.
Yep. Are there any other nominations for the chair? All right. Hearing none, I guess we vote on the chair.
Yeah.
So all in favor of nominating myself as the chair?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. So I will continue as the chair. And then next would be nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Rachel Toscas for vice chair.
Can I ask, what the time commitment is of a vice chair?
Well, I think you need a second first.
Yeah, we would.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
we need a second first.
A second.
Second, okay. All right. Nomination made and seconded.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
There you go.
Can I ask
Yep.
what the time commitment is of the vice chair?
That's probably a tough question to answer, because it does vary month to month and over the year. I will say it's probably going to be a busy time for the next 4 or 5 months, just because we're hiring interim and permanent library director, and so there's going to be all the hiring process, which you've obviously already
on that, yeah.
on that committee, and then there's going to be the onboarding of the library director, kind of the setting the goals, stuff like that. I mean, that's going to be something that the whole committee is going to be doing, but obviously the vice chair will have some impact on that.
In my experience as chair, provided I maintained my ability to attend all the meetings and such, certainly the chair and the vice chair would collaborate. However, in the absence of some unforeseen illness or travel work commitment, the vice chair is oftentimes, from a time commitment, either wouldn't typically find themselves running the meetings or taking a large role in creating the agenda. Those are the two biggest things that, like, the chair does, and the vice chair would fill in their stead. But again, as Doug said, I think we're all going to be busy. So the vice chair wouldn't, I see, be taking any undue commitment more than the rest of us.
Yeah, no, that's all I was double
Yeah.
checking,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's fair, I can
Yeah,
accept.
except for maybe leading the meeting if I can't make it.
Yeah, you got it,
So like about 5 hours a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's about what we're doing now, so
That's-
it's good.
All right, so we have one nomination on the floor. Anybody else want to nominate a vice chair? Actually, I don't know. Did I hear an accept?
I
you
did,
accept?
yeah.
You did. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're good.
Okay, so hearing none, all in favor of having Rachel vice chair?
Aye.
Opposed? I declare that motion carried.
right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, both of you, and
That's-
thank you for
Thank you.
leading the board for another year or however long you said indefinitely. I heard him say that, so
I didn't mean it definitely, yes.
So he meant
Definitely
longer.
for the
He
year.
meant longer.
yes, and thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rachel. Great. Okay, so that was easy. We do have, thanks to Kim for putting together, the meeting packet. And in that packet is a number of different, things, from the MBLC, open meeting law. So I would, suggest that if you're not familiar with it already, to certainly review all of those documents. The pocket guide is a nice, 15-page document that kind of goes through a lot of the responsibilities.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most helpful things, and I advocated for that when they offered it to boards, because especially for somebody who doesn't interact with libraries a lot, coming into this job, it's like, well, what's the job, and what are my responsibilities versus staff responsibilities versus what the friends do, right? And where's their overlap, and because there's very clear boundaries on what we can and can't do. We can't fundraise, things like that. That's why we have the friends do that, and the staff can't fundraise. So there's a lot. So I'd expect new trustees to take a look at it, and even people who've been on the board for a while. There's probably something new. The last time I looked at it was 2018, and this is a 2025 version. So.
Oh, good point. That's what's been updated. Yep.
Yep.
Certainly, if there's any questions on any of the stuff that you read, there's a lot of resources on MBLC, and obviously you can reach out to other of the board members.
Yeah, and I will say that some of these documents will also tell you how to sign up for the trustee list serves, so that you can communicate with other people and kind of see what other towns are doing and ask your questions and answer questions in return. So I find that as a valuable resource, because oftentimes we're like, well, can we use state aid money to throw a party for the library, right? That was a big one. And so I reached out, and a lot of towns actually build it into their town budgets, right, to throw a party. So the answer was no, you can't use state aid for that.
Right.
But that's the kind of resources that we can, put to bear.
And I'll mention, I'm sorry.
Well, just one other thing, and we do function as a board, and it's really helpful having everybody aware of a lot of the things, because if, especially me as a chair, if I'm missing something, it's great that someone else can speak up and either correct it or guide the discussion.
Yep.
Roger?
These 4 bullet points, I would point out that while they're all important, I just want to call attention to the MIIA Code of Conduct Guidelines for Town Boards and Committees is a great read, and came out of, I think it's our property casualty, via our property casualty carrier, because I think sometimes people think that they can just behave the way they want, and there's the sort of online chaos and chatter and Facebook groups and things that sometimes people get caught up in trash talk and other misbehavior. So that is a good sort of reset button read if we ever need a reminder of how to conduct meetings. So
Thank you for that. If there are no other comments or questions on that, we'll move on to the minutes. So we have 3 sets of minutes to approve, June 16th, June 21st, and June 25th.
I make a motion that we approve them all together in one group as long as there's no discussion.
I would otherwise say yes, but I'll second that. I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes as a group?
Do we have a discussion first?
Yeah, any
Oh, yeah,
discussion
sorry, I'm
first?
sorry. Any discussion?
Yeah, in other words, yeah, I thought you were making a vote on the procedural motion to take all of them together.
Oh, yeah, that's actually right. We need to do that first. So, all those in favor of voting for the minutes as a group? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Okay. So now any discussion on the minutes?
I had, just with the middle set, the sort of oxymoron minutes, non-minutes, of Saturday, June
This one.
21.
Yep.
So they're not, it's listed as a notice of attendance, so I'm in favor of, however we would want to format this, to make this document to read, as minutes, but as they technically have to be listed as minutes, but without substantively changing anything except maybe adding a line that said, what actually happened or didn't happen. In other words, this notice of attendance is not sort of listed in the way we would normally see draft minutes. And so, I guess first we would need to, number one, identify, or we would want to identify whether, even if we weren't together at one place at one time, whether a quorum attended that event, and even if they did, whether that we didn't conduct any deliberations. I was at that event.
I was not.
I was and Aaron was.
All right.
So it was just a 3?
And it was,
Yeah.
I didn't
Was
see
Chris-
Chris there.
I think Chris was out of town, if I
Yeah.
remember.
So what, if, I would recommend, if anyone is, without objecting to it, just formatting it so that it reads as minutes, and to state, a sentence that a quorum of the Board of Trustees was not present at this function.
I think that makes sense. I mean, minutes need to kind of discuss what was discussed there, and nothing was discussed, so. So you're proposing to add in a comment that said no quorum was reached and no discussion?
Yes, because this notice speaks of this activity or this function in the future tense. So we want to sort of tighten it up so that, somewhere, like at the bottom, that states that, the Board of Library Trustees discussed, and, we agreed that a quorum was not present at this function. And so a deliberation really couldn't have occurred because a quorum wasn't present. So we don't even need to touch on that deliberation piece. So maybe one sentence that says, a quorum of the board was not present at this function. And then, put the header as if it's minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So did you get that, Kim? You got all that? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the minutes? Okay, so all those in favor of approving the set of 3 minutes with the amendment for the spring into summer event?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I declare the motion carried. Approved bills. There are 3 warrants. Warrant number 53, part 1, warrant 53, part 2, and warrant 3.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the warrants number 53-1 in the amount of $44,639.36. Warrant number 53-2 in the amount of $4,590.17. And warrant FY26 warrant number 3 in the amount of $35,370.16.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. So that motion was to approve them as a group, so we first need to approve that we're approving them as a group. Is that right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So all those in favor of combining the 3 warrants into a single vote?
Was there a second on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seconded
Oh, I'm
by
sorry.
Aaron.
Aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. So I declare the motion carried. So next up is, any discussion on the three warrants? Any questions or discussion?
I had a I did all sorts of printing at home, and I think I forgot some on my office desk. It had to do with the an email chain that spoke of the mechanics of how we arrived at this point and budgeting, and whether it poses any issues that we are approving. Is this a prior year bill, or is this,
Well, so the two.
how does that work?
The two number 53s are the FY 25 and the last one is FY 26.
So there were 53 weeks in this. In other words, the numbers correspond to the number of week, the
Correct.
number week we're in the fiscal year.
Correct.
So 53.
So there must have been a half week and they considered it
All right.
53.
Okay.
Is my guess.
All right. So we're not running awry of any DOR stuff by approving these, are we? The 53?
I don't know, Kim, do you know if that's just because there was a half week in the fiscal year? Normally the numbers are based on the week of the fiscal year.
Right, she had 50, she wasn't here, Eileen was not present for 52, so that's why we don't have a number 52.
I see. Okay, so that's probably,
Okay.
I mean, that's probably
Right.
why, because it's still a fiscal year 25
Right.
warrant.
Yeah, and we don't want to confuse it by calling it a 1. So
Right.
I'll assume that everything's in form unless, we hear after the fact otherwise.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions on the three warrants? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Declare the motion carried. Thank you for that. Moving on to ongoing business. The first one is the HVAC East Coast Fire quote.
So,
Kim,
thank you, Mr. Chair. Renaud HVAC, they were on site Monday, July 21, and Tuesday, July 22nd, to do the preventative maintenance, with the 2 visits remaining to complete comprehensive AC and late summer filter change. So that happened, and let's see. As far as billing goes, Renaud typically bills half. The 5,500 was billed at the beginning of the year for the winter maintenance, and then the 5,500 for the summer. So we will be charged 5,500 for this summer maintenance that was conducted Monday and Tuesday. We will receive a bill for that in the amount of $5,500.
and so this is something we would need to pay out of state aid? Well, or some other funding source, but, so I think the request is to approve the payment of the second half of the annual maintenance for the HVAC for $5,500 through state aid.
Can I ask a question? Are we approving now? It's a forthcoming bill, right? We still haven't received the invoice?
Correct.
Oh, we have not received their invoice.
Not for the second half.
So, may I ask why isn't this coming out of the budget?
Do we know that?
Because I don't know that this, I mean, who's requesting that this comes out of any other source, if there's no funding source for it?
No, I just basically wanted to bring it to the board's attention that it is coming up,
Okay,
okay?
okay. Okay, so I don't
So
think we need to vote.
I would say, yeah, if we haven't been invoiced for it, then we won't vote on it, but we would
Okay.
vote on it next month.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it going to put us into a budgetary issue?
I think since it was not in the fiscal year 25 budget, we're gonna have to find an alternate funding source, like
Okay.
state aid for that.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so that, we'll, move that to next month,
Okay,
And what was that dollar amount?
5,500.
Okay.
East Coast Fire,
Can I ask the same question? That's a potential, we haven't been invoiced in it, but we need to approve the work that we will then get invoiced for.
The work was already approved at a former meeting.
Okay,
I just simply wanted to let everyone know that they are coming on July 28th and will complete that work.
oh, okay, great.
Now, that
So,
being,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That being 5 days away, is the issue for which they're coming, is that presumably able to wait 5 days? Or
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
I knew it was a sort of a, a situation that needed to be addressed pretty quickly, but I
Right.
didn't know if that, between now and then was going to be problematic.
No, they're aware of it, and they're scheduled for the 28th, and then American Alarm will be out to disconnect and reconnect the alarm so that they can complete their work.
All right. Great. Thanks.
That's great. So then at this time, we don't need to vote for anything.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. I'll take this opportunity. There's been an incredible amount of stuff going on that Kim's been managing, so thank you very much for all of the effort you've been doing for the last month, last week, everything.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Okay. So if there's nothing else with that, we'll move on to the teen room. That's me. So there's really two pieces with the teen room. There's the gaming room. And so we did the, I can't remember if we announced that last month, but the capital campaign approved the funding for the replacement of the teen gaming room flooring. And that's been ordered. And I believe they've come in, they've torn up all the flooring and they haven't put new stuff down yet.
It's down.
Oh, it is down.
Oh,
It's down.
So
I
that's
put it
great.
on the punch list so you can see a picture
Okay.
of it. Yeah.
So that's great.
Yes.
So that's really just FYI. That's great. Then the second piece with the teen room is the, somewhat related to the teen room is the water issue with the door, with the water coming in. They continue to have water coming into the teen room. So we reached out to the town, it turns out, and the DPW to see if they'd come take a look at it. It turns out they had a company called Barnard Roofing come out late last year and looked at it, gave an estimate and a quote for what they suggested getting repaired. That came out to be about $9,000. It included some resoldering of joints. They noticed that a lot of the joints weren't soldered correctly on the what's that thing called, the electronic return thing, the book drop, the book return. There's that one entryway that gets a lot of water. They've proposed to extend one of the roof gutters and put a deflector so that you don't have all this water pouring down the roof and overflowing that gutter. And then they've proposed putting in another downspout next to the teen door. They said that that teen door has a very long run for the copper gutter, and it's not pitched correctly, so a lot of the water that comes in on the left side of the gutter doesn't go downhill, it just goes over the end. So they proposed putting a second downspout. I think it would be great to get that work approved before next month. I would like to have the board approve the funding up to some amount, maybe up to $9,000 to have that completed by Barnard Roofing. I don't know, can the chair make a motion?
I don't see why not. I think we had this discussion. I don't see why not. I don't think we'd object. I know I wouldn't.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd even be willing to entertain a motion that it's approved up to 9,000 and a little more if inflation has bumped it up
Yeah.
since, because they probably have to requote from December and copper's expensive.
Yeah.
So it's specifically really to address that area,
it's to address the two entryway doors that are on Upton Street.
Upton Street, right?
Right, so it's the teen door and the staff entrance is where
Okay.
we get all that water issue.
Okay.
So should we do it up to 10,000 if was quoted at 9, just to?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do we get multiple quotes? Is there a dollar limit? Anything beyond, say, $5,000, we get at least 2 quotes to compare? Do we do that?
I think the number is higher than,
I thought it was like
I
30,000.
think it's much,
okay.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I think it's yeah.
And we
before
did
you-
have the DPW did come and take a look at it. They then decided they needed to have a company come in and take a look at it, and that's when they brought in that Barnard Roofing.
Doug, I do have the quote from December 2024 here.
Yep.
8,550.
Right, is there a motion, I heard
I
a
don't know.
motion,
Do you want me to, I guess I can, I'd like to make a motion to approve funding up to $10,000 for Barnard Roofing for gutter repair.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion?
What's the funding source?
Oh, thank you. By state aid. Funding source
Okay.
would be state aid. Actually, I'm sorry. Strike that. I was going to propose funding from the Leeds
Yeah.
reimbursement, since this is building related and basically related to the renovation project.
good idea.
So from the Leeds source. Technically, I don't think we really need to approve it because that funding is more or less controlled by the town. But they're always asking us for our approval, so can't hurt.
So you made the motion, any second?
Yep, motion made and seconded.
Okay.
Any discussion? Further discussion?
Nope.
Great. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the budget and finance update. Kim.
Yes. Okay. So, Doug, you had asked what the over expenditure for fiscal year 25 was. Mary Loria got back to us on that. So the amount was $14,510.44. And I have a list of things. Do you want me to go through them?
I don't think, I guess you can just kind of quickly highlight the big items.
Okay, so energy, utilities, repair and maintenance, contracted services, rental and leases, library communications, office supplies, educational supplies, periodicals, in-state travel, and library programs.
How much was the rental and leases portion of that? I read an email about that was an issue regarding whether that was not in the FY 26 budget, and that notwithstanding this overage, that we would still need to address that piece. Was it somewhere in the $5,000 or $6,000 range, or is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pop this up. Will this work? Yep, never mind. So this is the requested funding. There's two sections. There's the unpaid expenses from FY 25, and then some other, actually, I think they're all FY 25. Why does that say requests?
But to
But then the FY 26 mentions 6,000 by the previous director regarding
Oh, yeah. So-
adding $6,000, but
Yep.
that would still leave a $4,200 deficit.
Correct. That's for the copier machine rental fee. So there's the two items. There's the top section, which are some of the expenses that weren't paid in time. That total is $1,715.59. The copier machine, majority of that came out of the program budget for the rentals, but there was a deficit of 4,200, so that's in the request. Allison Kusher, who is our what's her official title?
she is head of
Technical services.
Yep,
Thank you.
technical.
So she's the one that puts all the barcode things on it, all the electronic RFID things, and so she was in the process of redoing that a lot, and basically was no budget. It typically came out of the supplies. There was no budget in the supplies, so she's proposing the 2,075, and then the over expenditure that Kim went through is the 14,510.44. So the total request is 22,501.03 from state aid. We do have plenty of state aid monies. I think it's in this document somewhere, right?
Yes, I did receive an update from Eileen today, and she added 2 items to that unpaid expenses for FY 25. One was for $37.99. Gail, I have them attached here.
When you say $37.99, $37.99.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
$37.99. And then S&S Worldwide was $4.80. So it brought that number up to $1,730.77.
sorry, so the total would be 22,501.03 plus 37.99 plus 480, you said?
$4.80,
Yep.
yes.
So the total request is $22,543.82.
So can I ask a question now? The over expenditure that has already happened and we need to go back and close that loop, and that's one piece. The number that we talked about, the supplies needed for the electronic, whatever that was, that is for the current year, or that's for 2026 budget?
That's for the current year, which is FY26.
Current year is FY26 starting. Is the budget done for 2025 or is
Yeah,
it
that
midway?
budget ended in July.
July?
And that's the top part. Those were things that we incurred in the previous fiscal year, but weren't paid on time. And so that's where we got those expenses from. And also that last big piece over expenditure of FY25.
Okay.
So that's all last budget year. And the
Yeah.
only new ones are those two items.
Yeah, June 30th is the town year end.
Okay. So we already approved 2026 budget, which will start from July?
July 1st.
July 1st. So that's already in place. And
We're-
these two line items were not factored in that.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. I'm up
Correct.
to speed.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, if you could just remind the board about state aid monies and whether they are able to be carried over from one fiscal year to the next.
Yes.
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 And so,
There's a tricky thing though, right? Isn't there something with the interest?
I
But yes,
I
state
don't
aid
know.
monies goes into our, the
Yes.
state aid budget, and that does carry over year after year.
Right, and so even though that's a deficit, the fact that it's almost like I guess you could call it an internal, almost like a stabilization fund, that it exists as an overage, that state aid money didn't disappear once we hit July 1st. And
Correct.
so by approving this from state aid, we're not eating into 26 state aid monies, and that we're not facing a further deficit by using state aid.
How
Correct.
much state aid do we get every year?
State aid is about,
90 grand?
yeah, I feel like there's two payments that are in the 40s, so 80 to 90 grand a year. And I think our state aid, I think I saw it in here. I mean, the entire account balance is in this document. I think I saw our state aid balance is a little bit over $100,000. Any, so the motion on the floor is to pay an updated sum of $22,543.82 from state aid.
So who made that motion?
Yeah, nobody made that motion.
Oh, no one's made that.
I moved,
Doug just did.
Mr. Chair, I move that we vote to authorize payment from state aid in the amount of $22,501.03 to.
Nope, there's an updated.
Oh, I'm sorry, in the amount of $22,543.82, pardon.
Okay, second.
Motion made and seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I declare that motion carried. Thank you. Friends update.
Yes, so the Friends are gearing up for the back to school book sale, which will be taking place in August. So typically they collect the books, the donations on the first Friday and Saturday of the month. They with the July 4th holiday and with the upcoming book sale, they did not have a book collection in July, and the collection is going to be a little bit delayed. It's going to be a little bit later in the month, I guess, not really delayed. So they'll be accepting donations at the library starting on Monday, August 18th through Wednesday, August 20th, during regular library hours, which are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The library is not open on that Thursday, I believe, of the week, on the 21st for a staff development day. But then when the library is open again on Friday, August 22nd, they again will be accepting donations from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that you can bring them right into the conference room A, and B, which is right, on the left, on the left as you come into the library. And then the actual book sale will be on Saturday, August 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Sunday, August 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we hope everybody's able to join and get some really great deals, for books, for returning back to school, or for, anybody who'd like to attend. And it's a great fundraiser. Again, they fund our library museum passes along with other programming in the library. So we're very appreciative to their efforts.
And I'll just underscore another thank you in that both of these items connected are a huge community service, and people look forward to both of these, both being able to give books and being able to buy them dirt cheap, really good quality books. And also those museum passes and park passes and things are huge. So thank you to the friends.
Yeah.
Yes, they're definitely one of the most popular items. I think they're pretty much always checked out.
Okay.
Great. Any questions for Carrie on the Friends? All right, hearing none, move on to policy committee update with Aaron.
So the policy committee decided not to meet. Basically, Kim and I are the only members of the policy committee, and we decided that, in the absence of a director, there's really no new policies we need to work on, and I appreciate Prabhu for also volunteering to join the committee. But at this point, we got kind of a positive update. I feel it's positive because haven't brought any new policies to this board in a long time, and so we got an update. Kim had just reached out to William Blake to see where we were with the policies we submitted to legal, and I think it just happened to get lost. And so her urging helped spear that into action. So it wasn't waiting for legal; it had just hit a wall in getting to legal. So we're hoping that once we get those back, I'll continue to facilitate moving those along the thread, which also means they need to go for the union review as well, and then they'll come to the Board of Trustees for review and then vote at one of our subsequent meetings. So hopefully those will be turned around pretty quick.
Aaron, if I could ask, the ones that are now under legal review, does that encompass all of the ones to include those that are grayed out that we may sunset?
No.
Okay. So at some other point, we'll have to address those that are sort of grayed out.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Mary's also part of the policy committee as well, Mary Mertland. So she and Tom kind of on their last review before Tom left is they felt, like you said, some policies were either inaccurate or just plain wrong, and that they need to be re-reviewed. It's really up to us whether we feel that they are still serving a purpose or not, and we want to put them back up. Okay. So perhaps Kim, did you happen to find the resource where all those policies were that were taken down? Yes.
Yes.
And we can perhaps share them with the board.
In fact, the email that I sent out to everyone.
Yeah, you have the link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see them. You can see what was sent to legal, and
Yeah.
you can see the old version of the policy
Okay.
in that.
So the
That
ones,
was a link in the
email.
email. Okay.
Yes.
so the ones that have been now are grayed out from the website are available in that email.
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like there's a couple of links. I'm sorry. Like the library display policy that doesn't have a hyperlink.
Okay.
So, but most of them do have a hyperlink. But
That's
and then
because
the
those
volunteer-
are going to legal, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the legal ones have a hyperlink. Some of them don't. And there's 5 total, right?
So then look at the new one that's sent to legal.
Okay.
So
Oh, so that link. Okay.
Yeah.
So in column G.
do we have either a direct opinion or an indirect communication from either the town administrator or the assistant town administrator as to the basis that those were grayed out? In other words, that if they were grayed out in our absence, is that an overstepping of authority? Or did we even, if we didn't discuss it, does anyone really have the authority to gray those out on our behalf?
So,
So,
so that was my initial thought as well. You know, because I said, well, why are these no longer on the website? You know, these are policies that have been cleared by the board and that have been voted on, and you know, I think we've been so backlogged that perhaps some of them really don't communicate current procedures or policies of the library. The one in particular that was really a tough one for the library director to support was the parking policy, which says nobody can use the lot except for library use only, which is in conflict with the town's, you know, without getting into a lot of detail, that was one that they felt, you know.
well, we will be discussing it later in the agenda.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but I'll try to keep that brief.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but Tom had reached out to the MBLC, and it is under the director's purview to, you know, take things down that are either illegal or, you know, wrong, flat out wrong is the way he
Okay.
communicated that to me.
Alright.
I haven't reached out to the MBLC directly. I was, you know, taking that communication during our
Right.
last meeting we had, I think in June. And so that's
Right.
why those were flagged and taken down.
And I'm not suggesting that it was done frivolously. There was, you know, there seemed to be a good, you know, a good reason that,
Yeah,
and
we have
thought
some.
out reason.
Yeah, we have some strong talent on the policy committee, especially with the library staff, and who've, you know, managed policy for years. I mean, they're the experts, right? And a lot of it came down to is we have 32 policies, and most libraries have no more than 12 to 15. So I think there's just a methodology that we need to either come to an agreement, you know, almost starting from scratch, right? What is it we're trying to communicate through policy, you know? Because I think previous directors may have written policy in response to incidents, and not a lot of other libraries do that, you know? But we felt, okay, well, we need to write a policy so that we can, you know, hand it to somebody when they do this, right? You know, and I don't know if that's the approach that we want to necessarily take with our policy. So that's kind of where we're at.
So what action items do we have, or the policy committee has on these ones that have been flagged? Is that like the priority to review once you start working, or
Yeah.
should we be putting them back live online if this board agrees?
Yeah, I think that by next meeting, I would like every trustee to take a look at those policies, and I think what we can do is we can agree to either leave them off the website because they need work. We're not going to rework them, you know, between now and then.
Right.
Or if we feel it doesn't need to be taken down, if it still serves a general purpose, we'll put it back. So that's, I think, the action item for all of us.
Can I ask a question, Doug?
Yep, Karen.
So on the spreadsheet, and thank you, Kim, you know, for putting this together with the hyperlinks. It's great. Is it possible to indicate which ones have been taken down? Like just put a column in there.
Yes.
That would be helpful. So
Right
then we
there,
know.
that's in front of you?
Yeah, even in the status column.
Yeah, so in process. So the ones that were I see what you're saying. So you would like maybe a specific column just to say they've been removed, right? Is that what you-
I think that would be helpful just for because there's quite a few.
Or
of
just
Yeah,
them.
I
flagged
can
by the
absolutely
previous
do
director,
that.
yeah.
I can do that. But these here is what was sent to the
That we're waiting.
Which and that's great. That's wonderful because it's very clear.
Yeah.
Great.
So I don't need any feedback from any of the trustees between now and our next meeting, because what we'll do is we'll decide to either put it up or leave it off on those ones that have been flagged.
So our to do is to review the ones that have been flagged as a priority and
Yep.
determine whether or not we would like to reinstate them.
As is, no changes.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise it has to go back, through the whole process again.
Yep.
Okay, that's fair.
And can you remind the board, like, were all of these, some of them are from 2019, 2020, were all of these gone through legal review at the time they were approved, or was that kind of before that? We don't know.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, okay.
I would hope so. I think we've been doing that for as long as I've been on the board.
Yeah.
Legal has reviewed them. I mean, not the union, because,
Right.
having union then, but.
Okay. Sounds great. Any other questions for Aaron on the policies? Excellent. All right, hearing none, we will move on to new business.
We have a walkabout from Chris Bell.
Oh, thank you. I do remember that's through all my,
I think it's a short one.
so Chris isn't here, but he did supply an update on the walkabout. I guess I can just quickly show some of the pictures, but a couple of the items were actually related to the water issue and the gutter issue that I mentioned earlier. So, I mean, he was just kind of highlighting the fact that there's mulch on the sidewalks and on the patios from the water. This is the gutter at the book return, where you can just see that the water spilling over the gutter on the roof line is just landing and spreading out all the mulch. So hopefully that's going to be something that gutter would get replaced. And then I think these were just some gardening comments.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Did
Yep.
Chris?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
So the HVAC issue, is that part of the one place where it is like hot sun and desert, another place that it's up the mountains cold? Is that part of any of these list of items walkabout, or are we going to talk about that separately? Is that being addressed?
I don't think there's anything about HVAC except for the comment earlier, which is really just related to the yearly maintenance that Kim mentioned.
Yeah. And they came in also to replace those two inverter boards that affect the temperature in the community room
Okay.
and the historic. When I spoke to Ken Boudiette, he did say that, and I know this was mentioned by Tom, that the ceiling in the historic reading room, it's plaster, and then it's outside. There's no insulation in that ceiling. It's a huge heat loss. Which is why those LG units have been running like continually in the winter.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and John did say from Renaud HVAC that they weren't quite syncing, so he's been in contact with a distributor, so he's still trying to figure that out, but he did replace the boards, those two boards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it's still an ongoing issue that Renaud is working with the library for.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So new business, first is just really the, activities around the library director search and interim director search. There's a couple, right? So last meeting, we formed a subcommittee. That subcommittee has met. We have some candidates for interim library director. We have a couple candidates for the permanent, library director position. That subcommittee met. We are meeting again tomorrow night, and then we're interviewing an interim director candidate early next week. So hopefully all goes well, and the committee will make a decision on if they're going to suggest that candidate for hire, in which case we would have to have an ad hoc meeting, because we're going to want to do that before our August meeting. So for day-to-day business, subgroup, Chris Prabhu and I met with the department heads and kind of went through, they had a couple things they wanted to speak to us about. Obviously we wanted to meet with them to get what their short-term and day-to-day activity concerns were. Out of that meeting, the suggestion, and it was based on what happened the last search, is that the 4 department heads would kind of function as a I guess, library director by committee. So any decisions that needed to go in front of the library director, the four of them would take care of. I think as a board, we should kind of vote to approve that tonight. So that they have like the official vote that they're functioning as the library director. This would of course be short term. This would only be until the interim director is hired. They're still, similar to if there was a library director, if there were any budget questions, any approvals that needed the board approval, that's still, all that stuff is still going to come to the board, of course.
So what would that motion look like?
I would guess just that we support the four department head. Well, let me finish something else. So in combination with that, the union has requested a stipend for those four managers to receive a stipend. And essentially, they're going to be operating or functioning beyond their job responsibilities. They're going to be, essentially the four of them combined are going to be functioning like a library director. So they've asked for a stipend. That contract is currently with the town. But I think I can propose a motion to the board tonight to fund that request as well. So they kind of go hand in hand. I'm open to other suggestions about how we can function day to day without, anybody in charge or something like that. But that seemed to work fairly well last time, having them function as like
I think it's a
directed
great
by
idea,
committee.
and I'm appreciative that they're willing to step up and do that. I mean, they know the library operations. I think, and then when the interim director comes in, they be able to support that person as well. So it makes sense.
Yeah. So my only question is then, the library director would report to the board, right? There's no library director. So where's the oversight?
I think the four of them would function and they would come as a group to the board for any questions.
They'd have to bring things that the director would usually bring to the board.
Correct.
I see.
And some of those have already been happening, like the fire alarm's been going off. So through Kim, they came to me and I approved, like obviously that's something that just had to get taken care of pretty quickly. Having someone come out and look at that. So I think, I don't know how that's going to look on day-to-day activities, but
Yeah, I'm fine with that so long as they don't report to the board of trustees because they can't.
right.
But as long as any items that need to come to the board.
Yep.
So
So sorry, that's one
Oh,
piece.
sorry.
Yeah.
The funding is the second piece.
Yeah.
And then on the next agenda item, we're talking about the ARIS report.
Yeah.
One of the requirements of the ARIS report is that there is a director in place, either an acting director, an interim director, or a permanent director.
Yeah.
So this board also needs to come up with a solution on who's going to be acting director. You'll recall, well, you may or may not recall, but the last time the town administrator supported us in that role, so he was the acting director, which was super helpful then. But the town administrator does not have the bandwidth to do that now. So the proposal now would be to name one of the senior staff as acting director. And it really is, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really just a on paper thing because we need to have a person that's labeled acting director for the ARIS report.
Doug, did they make a proposal as to who that person would be?
They proposed Mary.
Okay, because
Martland.
she's doing the report.
She's doing the ARIS report. Actually, it was either between, I think the two senior, Mary and Sarah, both are qualified and offered to be the acting director, but it makes, I think, most sense that Mary does it because she's the one that's filling out the ARIS report. And again, this is temporary until we hire the interim director.
I have a quick question on that, and again, I only have experience with like boards for like nonprofits and corporations, not government organizations, but traditionally the chair of the board steps in as the interim in name, right?
Yeah.
Because that way, even if you have other people making decisions, like the accountability still falls with the chair. So I guess, are we not doing that because of like some nuance within this structure? I just
Yeah.
I can honestly say I'm not we haven't really experienced this before, so it's a good question if someone, either the chair of the board or someone else on the board would function as the acting director. Certainly don't have the library experience, right?
No, but
But-
again, we just wanna make sure decisions are being made, like, and the right level of decision, like you would know if something needs to come to the board,
Right.
right? If something can be made just within those directors, and if it's really for the ARIS report, like, and you're probably getting a lot of the day-to-day stuff like the fire alarms anyway. I guess I would just throw that out for discussion. Would we go with more of a model like that, and not because we don't appreciate them stepping up and being willing to, but in all my prior experience, that's normally how that's played out. So I'm not against doing something different. I just would like to understand maybe the nuances and why you'd go one way versus the other.
Yeah, yeah, I had the same question as well. The only, I think, part that gets gray if we, someone on this board is appointed the interim library director, is that the chair of the board also has to sign the ARIS report.
Right, that's true.
So there's that kind of gray area too. Again, I don't have any issue with having an acting director on paper, so long as that it doesn't require them to be the director and decision maker, because that's not the intention.
Right.
So is the motion then, is it limited to, for the purposes of the ARIS report, or?
It was, at least that was the conversation I recollect. On paper for the ARIS report would be someone to be named, and then collectively the four members, the four senior staff members, the managers, they would be the acting director as a committee that Doug was referring to.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what Mary proposed. She said that they would be consider filling in this position for the ARIS report with the understanding that it would not change the current agreement with the director by committee idea.
So
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Also, Mary mentioned that there is an additional financial report that will need to start next week in addition to ARIS. So,
Do you know which one that is?
but she did mention that it would be something that needs to get started next week.
Yep.
And it would be due in September. I know ARIS is due August 15th, and this other report was due in September, but she said it would need to get started on next week.
Yep, okay.
So do the four managers, is there a clear delineation of duties? It just sounds like it could be confusing when you have this overlap of an acting director for the ARIS report and this other report, but also this overlap of acting director by committee for everything else. Is this outlined somewhere in writing where they all know their roles and where that people aren't stepping over each other's feet? And
Well, they each have their own departments, though,
Right.
right? They're the managers of their departments, and then
Right.
they report it together. So,
all right,
Sarah's for the children's, Mary's, for the.
But you still have to make sure there's I think there's a minimum number of people that have to be at the library at a time to make sure it's still
Right, I mean,
open,
that's-
right? So
But they do that already because Tom wasn't there all the time.
no, but I think he used to. My understanding was approve vacations and stuff, so he could double check that. So I guess
Right, I mean,
Not
he
that
was
we can
approving
really just
vacation
have
time, he
to-
was approving, people, when they needed to
Yeah.
fill in that vacation time, people picking up additional hours, stuff like that.
I have a question on that subject. I've been approving leave requests for the staff because the managers have approved it.
Yeah,
But what happens with management? The department heads, who's in charge of approving their leave requests? Do I reach out to you to ask?
that's a good question. I mean, I would presume it would be this director by committee if we decide that it's the four directors,
the four.
or four managers.
And then rarely, I mean, their hours are different, so I think it's really smart having the four of them because there are managers that are on site at different times. There's always a manager, but they're not all there always at the same time, so.
And they
Yep.
would need to coordinate anyways. If one manager wants to take a vacation,
Exactly.
then they need to work together and come to like a compromise to
in order to open and close, because
Make
it's the
sure they have the
manager that
staff, yeah.
opens and closes.
And
the
how do they
centers.
reconcile any differences?
Then, well,
You know what I mean?
And
If
that
there
would
are
help out.
differences, there might be some logistical things where people may not agree and it's a split vote, or I would hope that everything would be done in a way that would end up being, you know, unanimous, that there wouldn't be any, sort of conflict that they're not doing things on the same page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so may I?
Yeah.
Really, town employees, right? If there's nobody to report to, they would report up to the next level, which I would say if there was any sort of conflict, you know, it would have to go to the town administrator. I like that it's being worked out on their own.
Right.
That could be difficult, but I like that they're probably talking about it and figuring out how to work out coverage. That's fantastic, because no leader really wants to have to pick and choose you versus you. It's better to have them work it out together.
and they know better too what the coverage is. Like there's nobody that knows it better than they do.
Right.
Town administrator would just go back to them and say, well, what do you need?
Yeah,
And that would be the same thing if
but it would never
If-
come back to this board.
if this
in no
board-
shape or
Right.
form.
If there
And we
was-
wouldn't be timely enough
Yeah.
to be able to do
Correct.
that.
yeah, Kim.
That leads to something else that I want to bring up to the board. Our temp pool, we were at 5. We're now at like pretty much 2, because one of them, we have 3 left. One went back to college and one has a new job. So we're down to 3. And one is traveling for the whole month of August, so that leaves us with 2. So we're really lean right now. And
Yep.
I'm already running into a little problem with finding coverage for the children's room and borrower services.
Do we recruit for the temps? Like, if we need more, or
I think Mary has been hiring.
Can I?
So let's-
So, yeah, the agenda, the first one is.
Yeah, I want to go back to the acting director and the director by committee. We can address that later. So what I hear is there's kind of 2 options. One would be, well, first agree that the 4 managers will be functioning as like the director by committee, for lack of a better name. And then the acting director would either be one of them, which would be Mary, or would be, I guess, the chair of this of the library trustees. Would be those 2 options
For the ARS report.
for the ARIS
So,
report.
so may I? So we keep saying just the ARIS report, but
Yeah.
that's not really true. So the last time when we had appointed the town administrator, I wanted to ask the board, do you recall why we did that? I don't believe it was just for the ARIS report. Some other requirement from the MBLC required us
Well,
to have an acting director.
I actually asked that question, and
Yeah.
the last time the ARIS report wasn't directly involved because the director resigned in November,
Yeah.
and so the ARIS report's not until the summer. So
Oh, I know what it was. It was
we act-
state aid. In order to get it state aid, we had to have an acting director. And
well, that's likely from the ARIS report. I mean, because the ARIS report is what
Oh.
defines the state aid.
got it.
So even though the ARIS report wasn't being written then, we still needed the acting director for that
So
reason.
there's a bit more to it.
And I was told that without an acting director signed
Yeah.
on with MBLC, we potentially could lose our certification and funding.
Right, which is true, because that's all through the ARIS report.
Doug, I did have one other thing. So farther down the agenda, the board support model for the director transition was actually kind of about some of this. So I had an idea to throw out, but if you want to table that for later, it was kind of similar around how we can support the staff too. Almost, if we have that acting director, whoever we list, it seems like there's 3 areas that there's a lot of support needed. One is finance, right? I think we spend a lot of time saying, well, where are we paying that bill? What's coming up, right? So, like, do we actually choose like a couple of people from the board who kind of are the go-to person for finance questions? Do we choose another one for building, right? So if the fire alarm's going off, it goes to those 2 board people who have said, we'll raise our hand and help support as stuff comes up through the week around that. And then the third one could be more around like the staffing HR, right? So as we talk about like leaves or needing to get more like people hired for part-time, right? Like they could have those smaller committee meetings, which I don't think we need to do open meeting law, right? And at least help move and facilitate some of that along before we all get back together too. So I just wanted to throw that out, right? As we talk about supporting them, we obviously need some kind of interim, right? But maybe we can tag team as a board in those three areas.
Yep.
Not set on it, but those were just some of the themes I feel like are big chunks and where maybe the staff needs some leadership decisions in the interim
Yep.
too. And obviously to everyone, and Carrie, your point, right? They absolutely know what they're talking about way more than us, right? But I don't want to put them in a situation where they have to make a decision that maybe they're not fully comfortable with, right? Or they're
Yeah, no,
having
that's
to work
fair.
through things they shouldn't, because I don't think that will help with a healthy transition for them either longer term. So
They are all comfortable going to, like, the typical, point person is Doug as the chair though, right? So,
Yeah.
but if you think it's too much with the. director-
Well, I mean, the finance and the building, most of that's gonna, I mean, any of us can answer questions, but ultimately it's gonna have to come before the whole board for approval. So that's not gonna change, but, maybe helping answer some of those quick questions. So I think, it sounds like first what we need to do is everybody on board with this director by committee model. Seemed to work well that last time.
Yeah, I think so.
And then if so, what about the acting director position?
Yeah, I'm on board with that, with, the acting director, and it makes sense because Mary's doing the report, and they were in agreement with that, right? When you met with them?
That's what,
That makes
one of the
sense.
things they proposed, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they considered having the chair act as the acting director.
yeah, especially because if it's just by name, if they're doing it just to say like they're signing off on those things too, I think, Aaron, it was your point that said like if you're named like acting director, like you do have a certain scope, right? Like we're not limiting the scope with that too. So I just personally feel like I don't have enough information on like what we're enabling them to be able to do by granting that. I absolutely agree we should get the ARIS report submitted, and we need someone to sign it, and I want to make sure we have our funding, right? I just don't know the implications of that.
Yeah, I think the idea with the director by committee would be all those questions that the board never heard about, right? It's those day-to-day staffing.
I'm not too worried about
Sure.
the by committee piece.
Yep.
I guess it's the naming the interim,
Okay.
right? So like if we were to break those two apart,
Yes.
Yep.
right, I think it's the name.
They are separate, you're right.
Yeah, so if that's how they want to function and we feel comfortable, that's fine. I just,
Do we see any downsides with having Mary as a staff, manager be the acting director?
I think that's the question on the table,
Right.
and I don't. I kind of echo your feeling too. I think it was great when it was the town administrator because they're a town employee who's
Right.
kind of, responsible for all the town departments. It's unfortunate that he can't fill that role just in name. But why don't we at least vote for the director by committee.
Yep.
For the day to day, and then I think we have a little bit of time to make a decision on.
Well,
The
the two
reports-
pieces that are really important would be the director by committee and the
Yes.
funding for the stipend for the four of them.
But then.
The acting director, if we don't vote today, we're gonna have to have another meeting within the week, cause we need to get that in that ARIS report.
That's due on the 15th.
It's due on the 15th, but Mary's last day is, I think, the 7th or 8th. So it really needs to be done by the 7th or 8th of August.
Okay.
Mary did indicate that when she spoke to the MBLC, the person that's doing the report, which is Mary, would be ideally the person to sign as the,
As the acting
Acting
director.
yes.
okay.
And it sounded to me like she made it pretty clear to me that this is important, they need to know before we leave tonight.
Yeah, no,
I
No,
think
we
so.
don't want to delay it.
Yeah.
And would the acting director then, once we have an interim director, you can't have both at the same time? In other
correct.
words,
As soon as we
one-
hire the interim director, the acting director and the actual director by committee would be dissolved.
All right,
or ended or whatever.
and to Rachel's point, I don't know what the implication is of naming an employee right now as an acting director and how that impacts their authority over their peers.
Honestly, I think it was just for Mary to complete the ARIS report, and they were gonna do, by committee.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what they said.
Like,
So
That's what she said in her
So then
email,
we're then we're back to the original issue of actually reining in that scope of the acting director to either be the ARIS report or this ARIS report and the second report that you said is due in September.
It's for fiscal year 26 that
Okay.
needs to start, yeah.
And
So is there any harm that would come out of limiting the scope of the acting director's duties to those reports?
Good question.
yeah, or we could even say if the acting director was to make any decisions or sign anything as acting director, they had to first confirm with the chair of the board. Like, just something to make sure, like, we at least have some understanding of what they're doing as acting director would make me feel like a lot more comfortable, right? So even if it is Mary who signs, it's just anytime she's signing or doing anything from an acting director, like, as long as you're looped in.
Without us having to reconvene, that he
Right.
could,
Yeah.
And you're reviewing the ARIS report anyway, so you'd be reviewing it too, right?
Potential, when we met and when we spoke, the potential is what if the interim director doesn't get filled in for a longer duration? What if the backfill for the director position doesn't get filled in for a longer time? That is the implication. So if you factor that in, if you name someone as an acting director, so I think that's where I was in alignment with your thought. Initially, the conversation was all about the ARIS report and then probably the second one. But if this doesn't happen, then should we have the same person continue being the acting director? Or should that come back to the meeting as an agenda item and say to the board and say that we talk about it again?
The board
now.
can always, we can always terminate the current acting director and, bring in another different acting director for sure.
Yeah.
so Mr. Chair, would you, just to hopefully wrap up this
Yep.
discussion, would you feel that it would be properly worded or in order to receive a motion that we, I'm not making a motion yet, but I'm throwing this out, that we name Mary Mertlin as acting director for the purposes of reports, and that also name the four managers as what term I'm looking for, as sort of
Director by committee.
director by
So-
committees,
Acting director by
or
committee.
acting, no.
No, just director by
Director
committee.
by committee.
I mean,
But if they're director by committee
It's a-
and
it's
we're
the
in
act-
charge
it's
of the
still the act-
director,
Yeah,
So
still
to me, the acting
director.
director is basically like the spokesperson of the four of them, and also takes care of that ARIS report definition.
But as you said too, she would need to speak to you to get final approval.
Well, I think we'd want to put that in our proposal. I think we'd want to state that.
Yeah, I think if in it we say that anything signed or decisions made as acting director is first reviewed and approved by Doug, like I would feel more comfortable too, because when you say reports, like there could be other reports, like just, I
Yep.
think that continuity will help.
so through you, Mr. Chair, maybe Rachel has some really good wording for a
We'll get the
motion.
verbiage.
I don't know.
No, you had it so nicely worded.
Well, why don't we do it as two separate
Okay.
motions?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And that
probably
would be
good.
way easier.
That's a good
Yep.
idea.
So I'll make a motion to accept the proposal for the four department heads to work as director by committee with a stipend to supplement that work to be named later and voted on by the board.
And then I would just add pending an agreement between the union and the town of Grafton.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Thank you, Aaron. Any further discussion?
I don't understand why we wouldn't call it acting director by committee, because it's.
Because
there's
we need
still-
one person for the acting director.
But it still doesn't make sense to me that they would combine be the director. That doesn't. I understand we need to have one person named to put on the report, but they're still they're really together acting, they're the acting director by committee, and then we're having one official name, you know, to put on the report. Like that makes sense to me.
Well, I wanted to do it as a separate motion just because, you know, this.
No, I think
this
she's
acting
proposing
director
that
person
it's
could have been
di-
anybody.
I think she's proposing that the by committee
Yeah.
name is called acting director by committee.
Yeah.
Yep, and then the spokes, we could say that we could say that Mary Martin will serve as the spokesman acting director.
Yeah. What I didn't understand is that Mary is also part of the 4 people that were.
Yeah,
Right.
she is.
That wasn't.
I mean, I'm
'cause
okay
she's a
with the
department
motion
head.
as stated personally.
Yeah, I would do that, and then we can talk about the named individual.
Are you saying that you don't, it's
They're
not
not-
necessary to add that if we're doing the motion right now, as it currently exists, would be directed by committee with the 4 directors?
Yep.
Can that end with just one motion where, and I think Carrie may be alluding to this, and have Mary Mertland be the spokesperson for those reports, or does the ARIS report need to be signed by someone who has been named an acting director?
I think the latter.
Okay, gotcha. So we do need 2 motions.
I'm supportive of Mary being named as the acting director, but the other 4 are also together combined acting as a director by committee. So they're not the direct, like they're still acting director. They're not.
So that seems to be a contradiction, that you'd have a director by committee and an acting director.
So do you normally have a director by committee and then have an acting director? That seems like a contradiction as well.
Yeah,
Then.
yeah,
think
that's
that-
what I'm saying.
The director by committee, I think, is just a name. I mean, we can name it anything. We can name it, you know.
Yeah. So the reason why I said it that way is because it doesn't necessarily have to be Mary Mertland as the acting director. It could be, you know, let's say the town administrator.
Somebody
said
else,
that
right.
they wanted to be, you know what, I do have time, I'll be the acting director, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of separate it out. I just wanted to make sure that we were okay with the proposal that the managers were gonna handle.
I mean, we could just say management by committee or something like that, or
Or a committee to assist the acting director, and it turns out that the acting director could be one of them, as is going to be the case, that you don't, I think it muddies the waters by using the term director in the context of this committee, and maybe call it a committee of directors, you know, and
what
to,
about,
to assist the acting director.
I may actually have wording now, so.
Okay.
Maybe we could say, so I'll make a motion that the day-to-day operations of the library are coordinated among the 4 department heads at the library.
Is there a motion? Was there a motion already on the floor though?
correct? There was
It's
a
already
motion.
been
Oh,
seconded, it's
sorry.
already been seconded,
Oh,
so.
sorry, but I guess that just maybe just say the day-to-day operations will be supported,
Right. Don't give them a
coordinated
name.
across the 4
Don't give
leaders.
them a
I don't know if we have to give them a title.
Could we call it? We could have Mary be the acting director, and then we could have the acting director supporting committee, and then the other managers are a part of the supporting committee.
So frankly, I think we're wasting a lot of time
I know.
on
I think this.
and-
We're all
know.
talking semantics, so I
Right,
think,
so.
I think the
so-
theory and concept
if
is the same.
We either vote for this in the negative, or I rescind it and somebody wants to restate it, whatever that may be. I'm in support of what they have proposed.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
are there-
That's fine. I mean,
And what are we calling it again?
The motion said director by committee.
Yes, that's what they called it,
It could be lowercase director.
because they are handling responsibilities of the director, and we
Okay.
are giving them, proposing to give them money for
Okay.
this,
Right.
right? So it's additional responsibility.
Okay.
Um,
So motion on the floor. If assuming everyone's clear what that motion is, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we have 1 opposed. All right, I declare the motion carried. So then the next step would be funding the 4 managers. So I make a motion. So the current proposal contract that the union and the town are working on is a total of $1,600 a week. So it's $400 per manager per week. I was gonna propose funding that for a month, hoping with, you know, optimistic that we're gonna have a new interim director before our next board meeting, but if not, then next board meeting we can extend that. Does that make sense?
Can I ask how that compared to like, the director's weekly, like, pay? Just
So a good question. So the monies we need to actually, I need to, thanks for bringing that up. I need to define a funding source because it's not through the personnel budget. It's gonna have to be a external funding source.
Because,
reasoning-
because it's a bonus type of
Well-
thing? It's extra contractual?
I think the biggest concern was that we have the budget for the library director. We are going to have to hire an interim director. We're going to have to hire a permanent director after that. We don't know what that salary is going to be, and so we don't want to take away from that current budget when we don't know what the budget requirements are going to be for those positions.
May I? I thought this was going to be net neutral. You already had, at least that was my understanding, we have the money. We don't have the individual who's going to be paid that, be it the interim director or the permanent director. And we were going to dip into the pool to pay for the stipend.
I think that was the original concept. The
Okay.
concerns the town administrator has is you dip into that pool for whatever this period of time is. If we hire somebody that's going to warrant a salary that's higher than what the current budget is, we don't have funding for that. And so the town administrator suggested that we look for an external funding source, like state aid. And state aid is there for paying for resources, so.
Okay, I'm good with that.
That's just what the current proposal is, so we're obviously willing to change it, but, so I would make a motion to fund the management by committee group, for a maximum of $1,600 a week, for a period of, I don't know, 4 weeks?
4 weeks, times 4 would be 25,600. We did it for 4 weeks.
25.
No, it's 1,600
Oh,
total.
sorry.
So it's,
Oh, 1,600.
6,400.
Okay.
So for a total of $6,400 for the first month, and then we would have to meet again to extend that if we have not hired an interim director. And maybe we should do a little bit of wiggle room.
So it'll be 6,400 for 4 weeks.
So you said so you made a motion of your.
I don't know if I finalized the motion yet because I was trying to come up with the numbers.
And not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you. Does this throw a kink in the contract negotiations? In other words, the fact that we're landing on a number before they've contracted the conditions of that.
From my conversation with the town administrator today, that the numbers have been agreed upon. It's just some
Oh,
other,
okay. I didn't
there's
know
other,
that.
sorry, I should have said that. There's some small pieces that they're working out.
All right.
If
Yep.
they came up with a different number, we could always adjust.
So us
That-
voting on that
I'm gonna
number.
say that the number has already been agreed upon.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we weren't going to preempt and throw a monkey wrench into their contract negotiations.
Yep.
Was there hours, how many hours per manager per week? $400 per person per
It-
week against how many hours?
It's
Stipend.
further, it's a stipend, so it's an addition, so it's their normal 35-hour work week, but it's to cover the additional responsibilities they have.
Okay.
So the motion on the floor, I'll just reiterate it, is to approve the funding of $1,600 a week. I'm just worried about the 4-week number.
Do you want to do
When-
8
when-
weeks? Do you want to do?
I'm gonna go 6 weeks because it'll at least cover it till our next meeting. So $1,600 a week for 6 weeks. That's $9,600 out of state aid.
Second. Oh, go ahead. You got
Second.
it. You got it.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Great. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you. I think that's, between the committee and the funding, that's a huge step to get the library kind of functioning normally or somewhat normally in their day-to-day operations. So then the final one would be the decision on the acting director. So I'll entertain a motion for that as well.
I move to nominate Mary as the acting director for the ARIS and the financial report.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
To our early discussion about whether by limiting it, I guess, to those reports, that not that she would, but she or anyone else named as acting director could say, well, that falls out of the scope of what the library trustees voted on. So do we still want to limit it to those reports? Do we anticipate that there will be activities out of the scope of those reports and signing off on those reports that Mary may need to address in and of her own accord versus the committee doing it?
And then I guess conversely, if we're putting in the ARIS report that she's the acting director, but then it's just limited just to doing the report, does that fulfill the need for the ARIS report? Like, would they find that acceptable if we have a limit? Because they're asking that somebody's the acting director, right?
Without limit, I
Without
guess.
limiting, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, through you, Mr. Chair, well, first, has anyone seconded that yet?
I did.
Yeah.
All right. Either without, through you, Mr. Chair, without objection by the committee and with consensus of the committee, maybe either have Prabhu withdraw entirely his motion and Aaron his second, or modify it to not be limited to just the reports.
Yeah, I think that does make sense. Because the acting director, the interim director, they're all going to still have the same responsibility about coming to this board to get board approval for the stuff that they normally would have approval for anyways.
All right.
This is why I was saying before that it should be acting director and then the acting board supporting committee, because then, like, yes, she's going to be part of that committee, but she's kind of like the nominal head, but then it all kind of works together, because it's confusing to say that you have this.
I think that's
board of
just,
directors.
it's just semantics, in my opinion, right? I mean, it's just,
But
the
everything
four of
is
them
semantics.
are functioning
Yeah.
as the leadership team.
Right, and they would bring stuff, and not Mary. Mary's not a spokesperson.
Right.
That's not what we're appointing her to do.
But then in the ARIS report, are we fulfilling the requirement of the ARIS report that you have an acting director?
I think so.
We name an active director. That's what was informed.
I think
That
we are,
For
and-
the ARIS report, we name an acting director. At the naming an acting director for ARIS report and the other report, to me, was different from performing the role of an acting director.
It's analogous to when the town administrator was the acting director. I mean, he didn't make those day-to-day decisions.
Well,
It was still the leadership committee.
But he took on the role. I mean, he
Correct, he took on the role.
took on the role, like he wasn't limited.
So you're
So the-
recommending that Prabhu withdraw his motion entirely and Aaron withdraw his second, or to modify his main motion?
I still feel that my motion stands.
Okay.
It's primarily for the two reports. We are naming Mary as the acting director for these two reports to be submitted. The acting director role is being performed by the group of four.
Right.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, that
too.
makes sense, because I think that were it not for the ARIS report and the second report, we wouldn't even be going through this exercise of making this separate motion.
Right. And from my perspective, if we discover something is not kosher with the MBLC, we can come back and modify it.
I guess my one still concern is, right, this as like an acting director, right, like we're just talking about like kind of keeping the lights on. Like a true acting director kind of has a larger scope than just keeping the lights on, right? We haven't really defined, so I just worry without like some clause in there that like before making like decisions outside of just the day-to-day short-term operating, not needing to come back to the chair of the board, right? I just think it's a
But you're agreeing with the current motion, because that does state that it's for
Limit
the
only to
reports.
these two.
yes, but I guess I guess I'm just still hitting some of the stuff of like, is that truly the scope? So if it's really just those two, and then if we need something else, they can come back
The
to the
group
board,
of
we
four
can
bring
do
it
That's,
back.
that's my opinion is, yeah, I mean, the decision wise, it's gonna be the group of four, but if it's something that the MBLC isn't happy with or whatever, then we can come back in this group and adjust it next time. Okay? Well, the motion on the floor, I'll put it out for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm
All
gonna
right,
abstain.
declare the motion. What?
Can I abstain?
Abstain, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We have one abstain.
I'm offended.
Sorry, I have too many open questions.
My first motion and it,
Well, I will also say that I have reached out to MBLC and had a number of questions and I haven't heard back from them yet. So,
Okay. No, that's
you know,
fair. We need
we
to
could
do
learn something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think this goes a long way in obviously the ARIS report, which is a critical report, but also just the daily function of the library. So I think the next one, the ARIS report, moving on in the agenda. I think that this is really just more of a notification. Mary had agreed last week to start working on that ARIS report, and it was really critical that she started as soon as possible. I will say she will need help. So I've offered trustees, I'm like I said, if you need anything that trustees can provide, please let me know. Obviously, she's going to primarily have to rely on other staff for that report. Okay. Moving on, I do see that it's 8:30. So if anyone has an opinion on passing over agenda items, obviously speak up. So D is a community room rental request. This is somewhat related to the policies, but we have a staff member who has requested to use the community room after hours. We have a policy in place.
You have
know,
a
the-
procedure in place a working procedure, right?
Well, I was going to go. We have a policy in place for the facility rental.
Yes.
We're working on a policy. I'm sorry. We're working on a procedure that will allow that room to be used after hours. I think the main concerns with the previous library director was the procedure for opening and closing the library. So I see this as a perfect opportunity, given that it would have been a staff member that was responsible for the after hours event to open and close the facility. And given that this person is a staff member, I see it as a great opportunity to work through that procedure and make sure that procedure is written well enough to allow, future groups to do that.
so does the staff member get compensated for after hours?
That's a good question. So as part of our facility rental fee, part of our facility rental policy, there is a fee that you need to pay.
Okay.
And the goal of that fee was to pay the staff member to open and close or a person to open and close the library.
Okay.
So in this case, I would say that we would just waive the fee since it's one and the same person.
I guess the one question I'd have on that is I believe we need a staff person there because the alarm system doesn't work to close off the rest of the building. So if the person's at the event, they can't work it and make sure that people aren't like loitering through the rest of the library, right? So
It's
how,
No,
They won't have
we have,
access to
we have the gate.
There is a gate
Yeah,
that locks the upper building. Now,
And-
technically, someone could jump the gate, but it's not trivial to do that.
And they can lock the children's room and the teens room, so they can't, so you
Okay, so
just
we
have
can,
access
like,
to the
lock it.
bathroom. So like the Friends Corner, community, so just,
okay,
yeah, they can't go upstairs, but they could use the facilities.
The building would the security alarm would be disabled, but the building would remain locked throughout the event. So that person would be responsible for letting people in and out of the building. So that's part of it.
Sorry, so I misunderstood. So the community room, I have been there for certain events. I thought that by itself can be closed. Are we saying is that the big hall? That's the one we are.
When
The-
you walk in, yeah,
Yeah. So the lobby, when you go in that entrance, that lobby with the bathrooms,
and the kitchen.
and the kitchen and the community room are all separated. The teen room at the end, the children's room in the end can be locked. So the only access they would have is to the bathrooms, the friends corner, and the community room.
And the
Okay. So
stairs
when I
could be-
attended the event, we came in through the other door for the community room. We didn't come in through the main entrance.
Technically, they could.
They
Technically,
could,
they
yeah.
could be coming in and out of the community room.
But those doors lock, so somebody'd have to let them
and they
in.
could take the elevator upstairs.
But I mean, the design goal of the building,
They
the
can, is
reason-
it locked, the elevator? Yeah, so they couldn't
Oh, the
go
elevator
upstairs,
is
no.
locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the reason the bathrooms were put there, right, were for after hours events. The whole reason why that floor was designed that way was to be able to have the after hour events.
I guess the only other thought is if we were to approve it, I'd wanna say it dependent on the 4 acting directors being okay, cause if anything happens out of it, right, they kind of have to deal with what
Yep.
comes out of it, so I think I would just wanna keep that in mind too, right, we don't act, like, to your point, it's a really great opportunity, this one, but we also don't have a leader in place if something was to happen, so it's just something to consider as we're going through it too.
Yep.
So, I think we're looking for, approval by the board for this request, right?
Correct.
So I can make a motion. Do we need to name anybody in the motion?
Can I just, before we make a motion, is it a personal event? Cause we, in the policy, there's like we don't charge not-for-profits, to
Yeah.
use the community room, but then if it's like a family
Private
thing, it
event,
would.
okay.
So I know we.
It is
talked
a
about-
personal private event,
Okay,
which again is why I think that they should be charged for the event so that you could pay the staff to run the event, but given that it's one and the same. Well, I mean, we can still vote to charge. I think the person's willing to pay. But it was a fairly nominal fee. I feel like it was like $50 or $100. I can't remember what the policy said.
So I don't have the details of the event, so I think we need to be specific in
Yeah.
terms of the date. Well,
Oh.
again, yeah, I mean, it's a public place, so we can say date and times for a public event.
Yeah.
I mean, not a public event, but a use
it's
of
a
public
private event, cause the
resources.
public can't attend the event, it's a private event in the
Right.
library.
But I'm channeling Rachel in terms of like saying,
no,
you know,
that's
times and places, and names.
Can I ask one other question? So in terms of the policy, what's the liability for the library and the town? Do we ask them to take care of liability? Do they have to provide any event insurance as part of this?
Well, that's the other thing too, like, if there's any, like, beverages, like, are they getting a liquor that type of thing?
That's defined in the policy, so they would have to have the appropriate certification to do that. So there's no plans for that.
So they're not-
I do have in front of me here the paperwork, $100 per hour fee for businesses, company events, a cleaning fee, cleaning deposit of $100 is required and due in advance. A deposit equal to the first hour of rental, $50 or $100. So it must be 50 for private and 100 for business is required to secure the facility's rental reservation.
But we don't talk about any insurance, liability insurance, third party or otherwise.
Yeah, I'd have to read through this and see.
I believe this came up in the past, and it's a municipal building. It's a town building, and the town has, insurance that covers any sort of, I guess, private or public event.
But if they're serving like any alcohol, like, they would not be covered under the town insurance, like, so, if they hire a caterer, they could get a liquor license, to, that would cover it, but.
If they're breaking the law, then then that's a different matter.
It says all outside services, any companies, firms, agencies, individuals, or groups hired by or on behalf of the meeting, person hosting the meeting shall be insured and are subject to the prior approval by the library.
Do we know if this is a non-alcoholic event?
It's a
It's
baby
a baby
shower.
It's a baby shower.
So, yeah.
But is it a
Alcohol, it does
non-alcoholic
say.
event?
Well,
Yeah, right.
I don't think, I think the policy, if there's alcohol, they have to have
A tip certified
whatever
individual.
they call that, tip certified
Yeah.
person.
That would have to
So
happen.
I don't expect that to be the case.
Okay.
But do we know that for a fact? I mean, just because we call it a baby shower doesn't mean that,
We would have to ask that, and
Yeah.
if she is having alcohol at this
Okay.
event, we would need a tip certified
Definitely.
individual.
all right, so are you asking, Mr. Chair, for a name, a date and a named individual and whether we're going to waive the fees?
I suppose that would be the best course, would be to name the person, the date. I mean, we have all that. It's, I mean, it's Susan Lito, staff, and it's for August 24th.
And with the understanding though that in waiving the fees, that she's not only responsible for locking up, but for cleaning the room?
That's, I guess, yeah,
I think, we don't have to waive the fees. I think if we wanna,
I feel like if we charge the fee, they're gonna say, great, we'll leave it a mess and walk out. I know Susan wouldn't do that,
Right.
but I think generally, that can be misconstrued as, well, I paid you the fee, well, you know, good luck cleaning up.
the cleaning fee is a deposit. It's not like it's.
it is a deposit.
refundable.
The
It's a
goal of that was
refundable,
if there
yeah.
was any damage, that would pay
Yeah,
for the.
refundable.
It's a
Refundable,
refundable.
correct.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
then I think we should charge that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
that's fair, the refundable.
And I think we should keep the fee in case, like, she would rather have someone else there so she doesn't, right, like.
Yep.
in case
Well, she couldn't, we'd have to have a staff person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Somebody else can make a motion. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
I mean, I make a motion to approve the use of the community room, for a baby shower, by Susan Lito on August 24th,
August 28th to 24th.
24th.
Okay,
It's a Sunday.
okay.
Second.
Oh, wait. That's when
Oh,
the Friends, no, that's when the
Friends.
book sale is. How did that,
that's a
wait a second.
conflict, right?
On a
That's-
Sunday?
Yes,
Yes,
it's Saturday.
she said 23rd and 24th was the
Right,
book
that's a Sunday, yeah.
You just spent all.
We already put, the flyers are already out,
And that it should be on the website too.
and it's, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm very sorry, but yeah,
No.
that's been, they've been planning for that,
Yeah.
it's already been publicized. I don't know how that happened, but
So in other words, the Friends,
the Friends
Have
are
already
setting
booked
up
that?
For their
The
book
Friends
sale.
booked it, it's already been publicized,
11
and
to 2.
it's
Yeah.
11-2, but even if it wasn't 11-2, all the books are in there, the table's
Oh,
in there, it
right.
takes time to break down everything.
Now, the other question I have.
I'm glad you
is-
caught that.
And I don't even know if I should put this out there, but the historic reading room, would that be an option for Susan?
That's a good question. I don't know if that's specifically outlined in the policy.
It is in the policy, and it has to be approved by the board, I believe, is my recollection. I can't pull it up on my,
I guess I would just throw out again, right, like, we don't have a director to keep all our ships, like, passing each other, like, we almost had a little crash here, right, so,
Yeah.
like, if we felt there was a big need to be able to do it right, I think we just have to be aware that we're a little short-staffed, and if something was to happen, like, we would have to be on call for whatever happened, and maybe once we have an interim director, like, appointed, I don't know, I think it's just something for the group to be aware of, right? We can only do so much, and, like, is this the moment, like, we wanna be taking on more?
I think the bigger issue is there might be just a conflict in the facility.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I personally don't think it would be a problem to use the historic reading room, certainly for like a baby shower, I don't think that would be a problem, but.
and
I
that's, so
certainly
that's
think
not
could be
being
covered.
used, that area is not being used for the Friends that day?
They only use conference room A and B, yeah.
Okay.
But you wouldn't have you wouldn't have it all secured, it doesn't, the.
No,
But then they wouldn't have, access to the kitchen facilities and all the things that you
You might need. or the
would
restrooms.
probably need. I think it would, I mean, I can't speak for Susan and her family or friends, but I can't see where that would be, that all you would need is just a physical space versus a place where you would have serving facilities and and a refrigerator for beverages and things like that. And then
Yeah, you're right, and
they would probably want to have access to be able to go back and forth. I think it would be chaotic.
so
I think
to move
I
the
think-
discussion.
I know. I
there-
think
Sure.
I need to just
So what I would
withdraw.
say is, right, I would offer maybe a different date, if they're willing to move their date. I
Yeah.
think we would be amenable to it,
Yeah.
allowing them to use the
Okay,
room.
Yeah.
that's a good point, Aaron. So then I will withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
Yep. Thank you for the discussion and consideration. All right, moving on, because what are we at? We're at 8:45.
Yeah.
Actually, we're doing pretty well, I think.
Yep.
Capital campaign, Aaron Vandersteen.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this up because I hadn't seen it on the agenda since Dana had left, because she was a representative of the capital campaign, and I think that unless the capital campaign is disbanded, I think the board needs to still know or hear a report from that capital campaign representative, and if that's not a trustee, that can be whoever else is on that committee can come to the board meetings, or they can provide a report for us that can be read. I just didn't want to lose sight of that.
Okay. I think we have Carrie's on the capital campaign, so maybe you could be responsible for that agenda item if there are any updates.
Sure, and Doug
I mean, I don't mean
as well,
right
but
now.
that's
I don't
okay.
mean now. I just mean for future.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm happy to do it in the future, and I think really the biggest update that we have for the capital campaign is the funding for the replacement floor that
Yep.
that, and then also the table was also ordered for the Friends as well, right? I haven't heard that it's come in yet.
No,
but
it
yeah.
hasn't. I'll check the status on that.
Actually, that's a good question. Yeah, so one of the Friends tables in the Friends corner was damaged, and the capital campaign paid for the replacement.
Yep.
Which you'd think would be a small thing, but it's amazing how expensive those things are.
It is. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we'll keep that on the agenda, Kim,
Yes.
and that'll be Carrie.
Yep. Okay.
Next on the agenda is the CW Mars agreement. I think this is just really a FYI, right? That one of the things that we had Tom do before is to sign off on the CW Mars agreement. It's essentially the annual renewal. We obviously, as a library, value our relationship with CW Mars, and this was just signing off on that each year. HDMI outlet repair. Did you have a funding request for that?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. So the HDMI outlet is in the community room. There are 4 of them. One of them is not working. We had Renard come out and look at it. The electricians, it was beyond their scope, so we had our AV audio visual company come out, and they determined that it was it needed to be replaced. So here is what it is. Here's the breakdown. Parts delivered with shipping is $345. Diagnosis and testing labor from 7/7 when they come out initially is $525. Replacement and testing labor $270. The grand total is $1,140 to repair the system.
Repair the system or repair one port?
That one little outlet. Imagine. Yeah.
And can you remind us, is the, does that make that room unavailable for video conferencing, or is there a second port that you can kind of plug into to get
There
around?
are additional ports, but this seems to be the most popular one. It's
Okay.
as you walk into the far right. It's
Yeah.
the one that most people use.
Okay,
Bob Berger actually was the one that brought it to our attention that it wasn't working.
So who's the vendor and where are they located?
CIVT Solutions, I believe they're out of Attleboro.
All right, so that could partially make sense where we've been trying to do our best to sort of rein in the locale of some of these vendors, and that the farther out they are, that kind of just ends up being part of the bill,
Yes.
the travel.
The truck fee and all that,
Yeah.
right? So I told him that we have a meeting tonight and that I would get back to him as far as if we can proceed or not, so, to move forward with that.
And do we owe the $525 anyway, cause they came out, so we're like in
Yeah.
halfway anyway?
Yes,
I mean, I think we need it, right? What was the total amount?
1140.
1,140.
I make a motion to fund $1,140 for the HDMI diagnostic and outlet repair.
And what was the funding source?
Do we want to do state aid for that?
Let's
Do
see,
we
why
want to do
not?
the lead?
It's really not a lead. Well, is anything building related technically leads or no?
Probably not.
I don't.
Not that.
No, I would.
That's like a component.
State aid would probably be the.
Or the capital campaign.
But we would first need capital campaigns. Okay, that
Yeah. I mean,
they
it-
would be
right, like,
giving it
Yeah, I mean,
for,
they,
to be made available. In other words, we can't speak on behalf of the capital campaign, although two of the members are here. So, what would be the harm in state aid for this?
it's only $1,100,
Yeah,
so I
it's
don't know
small,
why
yeah.
we're.
I'll
Like,
second it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, one question. So we probably have many more HDMI ports in town. Is there some kind of overall process or access to some service that we should also ask, not stopping this funding, but also this might not be the only port that might go down south. That might-
You reached
He
out to
did
them.
say that this was no longer being made.
Oh,
But I'm also, I would imagine just, right, those were all put in as part of the building project and that they're not necessarily the same that's in other buildings. If that's what you're implying.
Yeah,
They're probably all different, I'm guessing.
okay. We'll solve for this, but I think there should be a better way of handling HDMI
Future.
ports and AV connections and so on and so forth then.
well, did they have another recommendation? Like, they didn't suggest, like, installing something different, right? They just,
No, he didn't offer anything.
I mean, you reached out to the town department, you know, they looked at it and then this is what their recommendation was, so.
Yeah, it was, from what I recall, it's just a replacement of that model that was in there. They just found the one that replaced it. Just that one wasn't.
So she went through the town. to-
Okay.
Maybe we can, like, I think to your point though, like, I don't think it makes punch list, right? But when we get a new director, as we talk about future building maintenance and upgrades, we maybe just need some plan for like
Yeah.
our AV, right? Like if stuff is going out and it's gonna be really expensive, like we should just understand, is it cheaper to just keep fixing it? Like at some point, like when is that kind of what you're getting
Right,
at?
right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah, so we can, yeah, I think it's a good thing to put on our roadmap.
The IT guy thinking about what should I budget and how do I keep the prices low. Yeah.
Okay. So motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Funding request for library tech supplies, that's
We
what
talked
we
about
already
We
talked
already-
about.
The
right?
20,500,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Library stats?
Oh, I do have that for, yes.
Was that in the packet that you sent?
No, actually, I didn't have it at the time, but
Okay.
this is for the month of June. Adult circulation was 4,460, children's 8,097, young adult 1,593, and the total circulation 14,140 for the month of June. New patrons 107,
Wow.
total books and audio 3,215, and total hoopla 394.
Oh,
Great
That's
job.
great. That's especially 100 new. That's awesome. All right. Any questions on the stats? If not, we'll move on to strategic plan with Aaron.
Trying to find the email response. Oh, here it is. So I asked the question of the facilitator whether we should continue with the project or if we should, wait because we don't have a director. And I think they were leaning towards, yeah, maybe you should wait. But I really posed that question, can we do this without a director? And the response was interesting because if we want to do it without a director, it's really an opportunity, okay, to kind of shape the vision of the next 5 years for the library, so that director coming in has kind of a clear path forward, whereas coming in and not having really anything defined can be kind of difficult and overwhelming for somebody, you know, coming into town. So, I guess if I had to choose one way or the other, again, this was something that I was stepping away from, so somebody else would have to pick it up. I would choose to wait if we could, if we all agree to wait on that. We do have an opportunity with this person, but I think it would take a lot of effort on our part to drive this in the absence of a director. And I don't know that we have that bandwidth.
And I know, Aaron, you kindly copied me on that request, and and I recall she said like if it was going to be the new director, she would recommend that the person have like a year under their belt at least before kind of jumping into doing a strategic plan, and that was kind of my gut feel, you know, that would make sense, you know, for them to, you know, kind of come assess the situation, understand the operations, and then kind of come back. But I think bandwidth wise, like with, you know, the search, I think that would be difficult to start without, you know, with everything else that we have on our plate personally.
Yeah, I think that's my initial concern, is just the bandwidth, and I think the ability or the desire to have the trustees involved in that strategic planning should occur, you know, if we're without a director, but it should still occur even if we have the director, because we're going to be closely involved with working with that person.
Yeah, and I see Doug, you were CC'd on that as well.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
But
Any other
thank you
comments or
for-
questions?
For doing that, because that was helpful to get that feedback.
I mean, it's a really important endeavor that we need to go through. It's just, I think, really as a board determining when the right time is to start that. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for doing that. I think, I mean, the person, I think that contacting that person was a good person to, I don't know how I'm trying to explain myself.
She
but
seemed like somebody we'd like to work with in the
definitely,
future.
thank
Yeah.
you, yes.
Yeah.
So
I
thank
know.
you for finding her. 'cause
So
that's
I don't think it
another-
was wasted effort. I
No,
think that
definitely
person was
not.
great, and
Yeah.
we learned a lot in the process as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Next was Rachel with the board support model. I know we kind of went through that before.
Yeah.
Was there anything additional you wanted to add, or should
Yeah.
we try to identify people that would be available for those?
Well, and I guess, are those the right groups? And the other piece too is I know every Wednesday we need 2 trustees to sign the bills. It was really helpful for me to learn that's every Wednesday after 3:00, right? So I just think if there's a way we could like set up a schedule or people to sign up ahead, I think it just takes all the pressure off of everyone to say, oh no, we haven't signed the bills this week. So I think just making sure people to sign them. And then I know the other thing Kim had mentioned before is like if there's any way we have like office hours or something, like if we can rotate maybe through once a week who's there during like general hours, just so people could ask questions. I don't know if that's helpful as well. Just wanted to figure out how we wanted to be organized to be there, not only via email, but to support them all in whatever they need.
Yep.
So
I mean, I agree. It's important to have trustees' presence at the library throughout the day or throughout the week. So I would encourage everyone to be going there regularly, checking in. But do we feel like it should be something that we have a specific time slot? Is that what you're proposing? Like a
or if we do, if we can like let them know we'll be there and there if they need something, right? Because I think sometimes people go with their families and you're distracted, right? But
Yeah.
if someone's like, hey, I'll be there for this like hour, like we could communicate it to the library staff too, so they also know, because maybe they'll rearrange their day differently or send you a note in advance.
I think that's a great idea. Do you want to work out a schedule? And then with some slots, or maybe we communicate to Rachel when we could be available throughout the week and just commit to it. I think that's a great idea.
That's great,
'Cause
yeah,
it accomplishes both what you're looking for, is just to make sure we're going to the library,
Right.
being available. But to Rachel's point, we're probably going there for personal reasons, not always just to be available.
right.
So, is there a space where I have not worked in the library, not as go to Starbucks or some other place when I need some quiet time and I not on calls and stuff. Is there a place in the library where I can go sit down and can be available, but I can also do my work and
Lots of
You can-
lots of spaces.
Lots of
Confer-
space,
You
okay.
can reserve conference rooms.
we can reserve.
You can reserve a conference room. There's smaller study rooms, which are like 2 or 3 people.
And there is Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yep. And then there's all the adult. What is it along that back wall? There's a whole bunch of tables along the windows. I mean, it's more out in the open, but
Okay.
there's a lot of spaces.
Okay.
But that's a good idea. I mean, if Rachel, if you can kind of help coordinate that, but
We can do
you
that.
could just say I'm going to be there between 5 and 6. I'll be working, but you know I'm
Sure.
available for.
And Kim, would you help me figure out how to then distribute it?
I can
Okay.
combine my quiet time with my library presence and check bucket
Yep.
list done.
There you go.
Yep.
And then I guess around like, I guess Doug, it's more of a question for you. Do you feel like you are good as all the finance, building, HR questions come up? You want those all going to you? I know Chris has mentioned before, like he's happy to lean into anything like building. Like, do we kind of want to give a couple other people? I just know a lot will be coming at us the next
Yeah.
couple months, even with an interim director.
Yeah, I like the idea of a like I don't know, not necessarily chain of command, but I think it's important to have maybe one point of contact so that they all know to go to one person. I think it might be too confusing if you go to this person for this person. This. But for me, it would be extremely helpful to have other people helping out, and maybe I should just be more diligent in soliciting for support.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that
And
would
just handing stuff off to like Chris, for example. I'll just forward it to Chris and say he'll take care of it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and I want to
Yep.
caution people, if we're going to hold office hours, we're not decision makers in a vacuum.
no.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
You
that's,
know, we're here to be a sounding board, pun intended.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, to talk with them, hear their concerns, and bring them to the larger committee if it needs to come to
Yep.
us.
And I do feel like we got that through the agenda really much faster than I anticipated. So that was my other thing. Like there was a lot, and just making sure
Yeah.
we could. So I think that sounds like a great approach. So it sounds like we'll do like office hours. I'll coordinate so we can communicate that out, and then Doug, you'll just delegate as stuff comes up, and you'll be the main contact. So.
Yep.
Perfect.
so as far as the check signing, so Rachel, you're willing to do the check signing, and then I work from home on Wednesday, so I can, and maybe I could do like a Wednesday office hour or something.
Yeah, and
you know.
I can just maybe make sure we have 2 people on Wednesday on that schedule too, and we'll say you're also responsible for signing checks if you're there.
Mhm.
And I think Kim, you usually work late those days too, so
Yes.
it's a good day if Kim's going through her to-do list.
Isn't it Tuesday though?
No, it has to be signed by Thursday.
Thursday by 3:00.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she said normally she does it on Wednesday, and then it's ready by 3:00
right.
on Wednesday to be signed anytime after. And her name's Elaine, right? Eileen. Oh, I knew I got that.
So you, Doug,
Yeah.
it's 9 o'clock.
No.
Do we need to have a motion to extend the meeting? Or
No,
what's
I
the
think
process?
I think as long as people don't have a limit of another 15 minutes, I think we can wrap it up in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we mentioned or discussed after you commenced the meeting or called the meeting to order that we spoke of a limit, did we?
We did not.
No.
We did not. No.
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 It
was just more out of-
We don't want to shortchange a discussion that might require
Correct.
more
Right,
discussion, like the library parking lot.
Right. And I'll try to make that
You wanna-
quick, because I don't think it's the
Yeah.
highest priority right now, but it's something that I think needs to be brought to our attention or, to be, and maybe even tabled for more in-depth discussion later.
Right, just food for thought, and we can come back to it.
But I think so. The executive session was kind of like just in case we're not going to need that. Otherwise, I think
We do have the exit interview feedback for executive session.
yeah.
I did have a question, because I thought we were gonna talk about the interim director, because I know you said you had some candidates. We had a question previously about whether somebody who's the interim director could then be considered for the permanent position. Have we decided on that? Or clarified that?
It's a good question. I did check with the town, and there's no restriction on that. So if the
That's good.
board wants to consider an interim director as a permanent, it's our purview.
Okay, great, that's good news.
And Mr. Chair, to Rachel's comment, it's my understanding from the open meeting law that the specific purposes for executive session do need to be outlined in the agenda. And the only reason listed on this agenda is to discuss potential candidates for the library director position, not to discuss the feedback from the exit interview.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite, that you don't have to list it.
That's what I
Oh,
thought too.
oh,
actually.
okay, I
I mean, I'm looking at
misunderstood.
this thing
Yeah,
here.
Oh,
that
I
you're-
misunderstood you.
Yeah.
Okay, so, is
But
this,
I think,
but it's not on the agenda anyway.
oh, it is on the agenda.
Is it?
The executive session is on, oh,
You just have to list that you're gonna have.
No,
an
no, no,
executive
not the
session. You don't
executive
have to
session, but
list,
the, the
the exit interview.
The exit
Yeah.
interview is not listed on our agenda.
I think,
Could it reasonably fit or squeeze into something else?
well, I think, would you be open to doing that next meeting? Because certainly we're not gonna be hiring a permanent director by next meeting.
But I guess could
So
you,
it'll be good feedback for, obviously it'll be good feedback for the interim director as well, but I think we'll still be very early in the stages of the interim director.
but I guess couldn't we consider the feedback from the exit interview as part of what we would discuss in an executive session for discussing potential candidates for things that we would want to consider going into that process?
Yeah, I'm just worried about the time.
That's fair.
Why don't we just move through the other, items on the agenda quickly and see where we are at that
All
point?
right.
Mr. Chair.
Kim has raised one.
Yep, Kim?
So getting back to the parking, there is a question that I have.
Well, that's what I'm gonna go next.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
there were no other questions for Rachel for the, board support model for director transition. We'll move on to the library parking lot.
And,
Roger.
through you, Mr. Chair, I'll just make a comment that I think in proper order, I will absolutely get to the issue of the potential overflow of that. But leading into this from my opening comments, so I think there's been a false narrative perpetuated throughout town and among various individuals that we somehow don't have any authority over our own parking lot or what we understand and the community understands to be the library parking lot. And one of the things that has been overlooked is that none of this discussion, as I understand it, has acknowledged our town charter. And what I did is I did a handout of section 3-7 of our town charter, which is page 21. Section B, powers and duties of the Board of Library Trustees. I'm going to point to the first and last sentences. The Board of Library Trustees shall have the custody and management of the public library and all property of the town related to said library. And then the last sentence says, the board shall have all of the other powers and duties which are given to boards of library trustees by general law, by this charter, by bylaw, or by other town meeting vote. And so, aside from this, well, actually getting back to this, of all property of the town related to said library, I think a general understanding would lead the average person to conclude that an adjacent parking lot to a library with no other municipal buildings nearby is part of that which is related to the library. Just like the whole exterior of the gardens that we, manage and the shrubbery and the walkways and everything like that. As an aside, but somehow related, there's also a handout internally from the library on 7/21, to which was attached the MBLC, the trustees 2016-2017 construction grant round application, which, at least from us, it's not affirmatively signed off by the, my understanding of the town administrators, but town administrator's office, but at least by us, we were saying that the parking plan included 81 spaces, and that 100% of the spaces of that contiguous paved area basically were for library use. Whether we use all of those spaces most of the time, or, I know that during busy times, yeah, it gets packed. But to say that we have no authority over it, I think is a stretch. I think also potentially leading to some ambiguity is, and I attached it to my handout on the town charter, is an overhead of the town GIS map. And you have these overlapping parcels, which parcel 91 is what's called 35 Grafton Common. And before the renovation of the library, the entirety of the parking lot, as I understand it, was within the meets and bounds of 35 Grafton Common. Since the expansion, the footprint of the library and parking lot that is used by people that consider it to be the library parking lot includes parcel 90, which is a third of an acre, that is adjacent to the main entrance, and then the 11.5 acre lot behind all of the main spaces that then goes into what is now labeled as the Eagle Trail.
So this is 89. This is this big.
Pardon?
It's 89. It's number 89 on here.
This thing here, 89.
Yeah, what did I call it?
Well, you just said 11.6, but it's
No, 11.6 acres.
Acres.
right. But it's
the one that says
89. It's a
89.
huge one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. In other words, behind all of the lot, and actually part of the lot includes that parcel. In other words, that parcel goes all the way to Upton Street. And so there's 35 Grafton Common, which is a library in blue. The third of an acre is actually Town of Grafton is listed, okay? That's listed as 4 Upton Street. And then also listed as frontage closest to the railroad tracks is that parcel 89 of 11.5 acres that's listed as 6 Upton Street. So although within the confines of the blue dots are these things that look like parking lines, there's a good portion of the extension of that is also parking, okay? And so I don't know if this is a gray area where, you know, we went for a grant. The grant paid for an expansion of the library, including the parking lot. And it's my understanding from recent discussions that the MBLC is now saying, well, we're not going to hold you to having it used by anyone else. However, I think this would be a reasonable compromise there, that if the entirety of the paved area may not be used all of the time by the library, certainly I feel strongly that there's a certain number of spaces that would be reasonably delegated for library use, even if you color those lines a different color. And then since the time of the expansion, we've basically, that if we were to somehow assert that the entirety of that lot was under our jurisdiction, it's landlocking the public who would want to use the Eagle Trail, because that Eagle Trail as a passive recreational, active recreational area didn't exist when we first opened the library. And so long and short is that I think that although there's there could be a sort of an understanding that this may be a shared space, maybe with the understanding that at all times those back spaces are not a lot of them are empty, but we've been sort of told that that's a municipal lot. I patently disagree, at least to the extent that the amount of spaces that were in the grant application basically said that, all right, you know, we're expanding this whole footprint to include parking.
So can we just take a little
Yeah.
bit of a step back? And
I know, I threw a
what
lot
is
of stuff at you.
Well, I'm just like, what is the impetus for this discussion?
The impetus for this discussion is, I think that I think there's some friction between the town administration and the Board of Library Trustees, and that we're being told, and we were actually told during one of our recent meetings, that the whole parking policy was basically totally wrong.
Right.
And I'm saying it's totally right. Okay.
It is.
In my
It was
opinion.
written in response to how we initially had designed
Right.
the lot, right?
Right.
And so this the one with Doug's signature on it, I think, like you said, it was a grant application.
Right.
Grant.
And this is what we wanted.
Right.
And the MBLC will tell you, we'll support whatever you want.
Right, right,
And that's what the current director wanted.
right.
And they're very staunchly, this is what I want. So, but I understand that if it's a municipal building, right, then others can park there. It's not a private lot, it's a public lot, municipal building. So,
But for the purposes, people park there the primary purpose is to use the library. Now,
yes,
I think with the understanding that, for the most part, there's very little overlap between the library hours and the sort of off hours that it may be used.
Except for things like today,
Yeah.
when we have
Farmers market.
the farmer's
Right.
market,
During the day.
that's a big conflict.
Right,
you know?
and so to Kim's point, if you could just speak briefly to an upcoming event where there's going to be some conflict in competing.
Yes. On July 30th, it is a Wednesday. And there's the farmer's market, and there's a Wingmaster children's program, I think from 2 to 3, which is right at the same time that the farmer's market is. So I brought it to Sarah's attention, but you said it was a grant, they can't change it. So what do? I mean, there's people coming in with birds of prey, right? And they're gonna need to park, and people coming to, it's pretty popular. Where are they gonna park, so it gets tricky, and Sarah was the one that actually found that information.
But so who said they communicated with the MBLC and the MBLC said it's fine to do whatever you want with the parking lot?
yeah, a lot of this was coming from Tom because he was the one who was managing a lot of the friction and the conflict
Right.
from
Okay.
the public and whatnot.
Right.
And I think that's why he and Mary took that particular policy off the website. It says this is completely wrong and it's illegal. You can't do this. That was Tom's stance.
Right.
Again, he's not here,
Right.
but that's the way it was communicated, and that's where we are today.
And Tom, in my opinion, was acting absolutely above board in good faith with his understanding of what was being told to him. What I think gets lost in the weeds is that who's going to dig into the details of our town charter? I did. And it clearly says that the trustee shall have the custody and management of the public library and of all property of the town related to said library. I mean, everyone looks upon that as a library parking lot. If you talked about the municipal lot on the common, people would look at you like, and say, what are you talking about? Oh, the library parking lot. Yeah, the library parking lot. And
I
so,
know Sarah mentioned too, she said that, we wanna be good neighbors too. And
Right.
when there's not a program going on, it shouldn't be a problem.
No, not at all.
Park over there, but
right.
when there is a program going on, it could.
Well, and I believe there's been cases where staff has come in and there's no spots for the staff as
Yes.
well,
Right,
which
which
is
is-
of course an issue. The program that's happening, well, just any program, but specifically the one that's this month, do we ever know how many people are going to come?
Cindy?
Like, can we reserve like 20 spots for this program and then open up the rest of the library
But
I don't know
parking?
if I have 20 cones, but.
Yeah, well, it's like-
Well, just
I know what you mean.
just an idea, like, can
Yeah.
we think about reserving part of it for the library to make sure we have enough spaces
Yeah.
to kind of as a compromise?
But I guess my concern is like we don't like in Grafton we don't have like lots where we like enforce like who can park there or not. And I'm concerned about like what if there's a conflict? Like what if somebody gets angry and moves the
Well,
cone?
true.
Like, like I want to make sure that our staff are not like parking attendants. That's what I'm kind of nervous about is that I agree.
But
that
I
makes
think the
sense.
opposite is true, Carrie, is that that I couldn't just meet my friends and go on a bus trip and we all park at the DPW or the fire station and Station 1 on Upton Street, or just a bunch of us just park at the police station parking lot. I think that there's some reasonable there's some reasonable jurisdiction whether it's a combination of the department heads like the police chief and fire chief along with the town administrator, there's nothing in the charter that basically says that that department is in charge of that lot. But I think the town could say, well, it's reasonably understood that that's for the purpose for which that building is there for, that the police station parking lot isn't there for the school and vice versa. And so, and so it's related to the function, absent any other buildings that are nearby that would be used for another purpose, town purpose. I don't see where that lot, couldn't be interpreted as for library use.
But then we would use the cones to do the designation, because I think in the past we've tried to do other things like have like a rope right across, and I think that
How do you know that
You
someone's
don't.
coming here for the program?
You don't.
right.
You don't. And somebody could move their
Right.
phone and say, I'm here for the program, and then take off. So
Unless you
I
had it
think,
for-
so really kind of move
Right.
the discussion, but also to understand, like, wrap up everything everybody said.
Right.
I think what we need to decide is what do we want?
Right.
Because we can go either way, and I don't think we've stated as a board how we can just let things kind of happen naturally. I think that's how we've been doing it. We had a policy; it's been taken down.
Right.
You know, so we need to decide as a board whether we want to enforce that policy or kind of let things happen naturally, which it doesn't seem like it works out well for the patrons, and we're advocates for the community in regards to library, right? So I think we need to decide that if we want to advocate for the patrons, then we need to make sure that there's a place for them to park during library hours.
And also for the staff too, because you know
Yeah.
the staff needs to be able to get lunch and come back.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with just ending the discussion, but I think it's an important thing that we need to iron out, with the understanding in I know that the town administrator and assistant town administrator, the various select board members have individually, collectively said the opposite, that they believe, hey, anyone can park here. Trustees have no jurisdiction over this. I feel the opposite. And so I think we need to iron this out about, I mean, we don't need to have jurisdiction over it all of the time when it's not needed. You know, there's plenty of spaces most of the time for people to park for the library and to go to other functions that are not library related.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at is like.
But I don't want to give up what I believe is our authority over that lot. It's in
Yeah,
the, it's
that's
in the
fine.
charter.
So-
Yeah.
So, based on what you pointed out and what I understood and what you explained, Roger, I think there's very good research in terms of what seems to be the facts, right? To me, the next step is how do we implement this, and what are the next steps beyond that? In between is, do we get any from the town council? Do we get an advice from the town council to say, here is what is there, it is in black and white, here is
Right.
what it says. What do you advise? And then bring in the town council, and it's within the town, and then that leads to, okay, if the town council says it's black and white, it's clear, Roger, great job, fantastic. Now, this is how we are going to implement, and if we say it's 75 lots is what we need to draw for all things for the library patrons, we put that aside, and everything else is game. These 75 at any point of time, first preference, first steps goes to the library patrons.
So just one thing. So the policy was originally implemented March 22nd, 2023. So they did go through legal review then, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah. So it did already go through legal review.
So then for next steps, Roger, would you take on the responsibility of communicating that with the town administrator?
Yeah, just to that we need some clarification in light of the town charter and the expansion of the library and lot lines too, and that, you know, I'm not looking to pick a fight here because you know we're looking to be good neighbors too, but when patrons and staff members can't get into their own building to the
Yeah,
parking,
that's my biggest concern, is
Yeah.
for the big programs or for the staff not having a parking spot.
right,
I think any department in town would not be happy with that in their own building.
right,
Just to
Okay.
throw out a little bit of a devil's advocate here, so
sure,
I would say the community is all our patron, right? So whether they're coming for the farmer's market, the library, those are a lot of the same people who might be doing both. And so I guess my question before we figure out really who gets to have say over the library parking lot, like what's the problem we're trying to solve, right? Because if we know it's a high traffic day, people are mostly going to be going to the farmer's market anyway.
right,
Should we just next time try not to put an event that day, right? I don't know how often this is happening. If it happens twice a year, right? Like then we might have like bigger fish to fry.
No,
right
you're
now,
right, and,
but so-
and as a board,
guess I
we've
just-
even talked about maybe closing early on some of the nights where there were concerts, and so you know, it's not an absolute type of thing where, you know, we're just saying this is ours for the sake of it being ours, but and I absolutely understand that when people park up there, they're going all over the place. You know, they're going all over the place.
But it's got to be the Wednesday that's the big issue, the farmers
Yeah.
market, because there aren't, and then obviously like some of the big town events. But
I just don't like being told as a board that just being told that, sorry, Board of Library Trustees, you know, this is a municipal law without any explanation or putting it to the context of the grant application or even our town charter, just by edict. It's like, no, I don't.
So what I would propose is that Roger, just follows up
Yeah,
some of the legal aspects, and then maybe someone else on the board, once we like maybe talks to the whatever we're calling them now, leadership team, and just ask them for their major concerns. You know, can we not schedule things on Wednesdays when we know there's like the farmers market
And
or
right.
And they have done that already. I think they've rearranged, but I think the immediate concern, and I'm sorry, but like this next week, they have this program, the Birds of Prey, the July. So this is the immediate thing that we do need to address, because they're going to be coming with, you know, I'm sure like a truck, and, you know, they're going to need to unload. They need to have proximity. So I guess, are we okay with
Sorry, I'm going to actually dovetail off of what you just said, right? So I'm looking at the parking policy. I think what we can do is, you know, it says very clearly in the parking policy that was taken down, a parking lot attendant may be designated to oversee library parking during library/town events, right? And then non-library visitors may be directed to the free municipal parking around the common, right?
I would be on board with making sure that we have space for the event.
Agree. That's
whatever
what the
the-
policy says.
I'm not talking about all the attendees of the event. I'm talking about the event,
like the truck with
the truck, like right, the people that are bringing in the equipment and stuff like that. We need
Yeah.
to obviously make sure they have close parking. But without knowing how many people are going to come, you know, we're going to set 5 parking spots or 10, but at least for the.
But is it a program that people like made reservations to attend, or is it a drop-in? So
It's reserved, and I think it's very popular. I think it's almost full at, I don't think it was like 70 to 80 people. That's
Yeah. So,
adults and kids, so.
yeah, so you would need 70 spots, but it would be quite a few.
So what I was proposing is we have a policy, like you said, it's gone through legal. The previous director felt that it was violated it was illegal or something. He used illegal, and that's why he decided to take it down.
Right.
I think we should decide tonight if we want to repost this up on the website as one of our, you know, first policies. It's two pages.
Since it was previously approved.
I mean,
Correct.
it's not from 2018, it was March 2023
Right.
was
Yeah.
the date on it. And the practice of the committee was that these policies go, you know, have a legal review, so.
It was approved in 2019, revised 2021 and 2023. So this is one that we've been on top of, and it probably needs another revision. But I think as it stands, we may want to have it so that if we do need to manage some of the parking spaces, we have a policy that backs us up.
Doug, I did want to let you know, Kim just showed me that Sarah's actually on the phone and it's her program, and she has her hand up, so I don't know if we did want to, like, any other information.
I mean, we're getting close to public.
Yeah, sure. I thought this was going to be a shorter discussion than but
Because of the program.
but there's
last
a-
week,
the-
you
yeah,
know, that we
yeah.
really-
I'll agree to have the public comment now, if you can make that happen.
Yeah.
So Sarah, she's trying to unmute.
Can you turn on the screen?
Press ask to unmute. So if you
What?
unmute yourself,
screen.
Sarah, I think we should be able to.
I can't turn that.
Or
I
you
think
can put
that's-
something in the chat and we can read.
Right. That's what I asked her.
how does the screen go on?
That would be the town people.
Dan, is it Dan?
I've got it. Look at me.
Web conference.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
We can, Sarah.
Oh, hi. So we do have registration for this event. It starts at 2, and that typically isn't when the lot is super full with the farmers market patrons using it. My biggest concern is making sure that, as you spoke about briefly, the van that would have all of the birds would have a close space so that they weren't having to, heaven forbid, cross the street to try to get to the building. So I'd try to get them something close so they could access maybe the side door that we have propped open, just for the ease of loading and unloading and the safety of the birds. But I am hopeful that we will do okay with parking since it is an earlier program. And the farmers market does tend to pick up a bit more later in the day, which is why staff run into problems when we do the shift later in the evening for maybe the people who might work 5 to 8 coming in, or 4 to 8. So I'm hopeful that it won't be problematic, but I do think moving forward, trying that we can be more mindful about activities on the common. The problem is, so this is standing, but sometimes they pop up and it's not a regular occurrence. So we might not be aware when, so this grant was written a year ago and we booked it. So we'll know the farmers market's on Wednesdays, but if it's something that's more of a one-off or they move when a big concert might be, that would be a little bit more tricky to kind of work around, especially if we have to hire an outside presenter.
And how long is the event?
1 hour,
2 to 3.
correct.
So I mean, I think that's encouraging because I don't think the farmers market's gonna be that busy then. But you know, of course, 70 to 80 people, that's a lot of people if they all come in a car. But I would be in favor of them blocking off a couple spaces for this van.
Yeah.
At a
Well,
minimum.
the policy would support that.
Right. So yeah, repost the policy. I mean, it wasn't taken down because of legal reasons.
It was
It was
It wasn't
taken
ta- it
down
was taken
because of
down with our-
concerns. Because some of the concerns.
But we never took it down.
correct.
Correct.
So it's within our right to put it all back up if we want to.
Yeah.
That was the discussion that I had with the previous director.
Well, and I think regardless whether it's posted or not, it sounds like Sarah has the ability to block off a couple parking
mean, the
spots for
policy's
van
still in
per the
effect, even though it's
policy,
not
so
on
I
pol-
think regardless
We
it's
should
on the
probably
website.
reinstate
But
it.
I would agree we should probably get it back up on the website.
So
All
should
right.
we do a motion to do that, or because we never made a motion to take it down, we can just repost it?
Probably feel comfortable if we did a motion to that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
board still supports the current policy. I guess.
Right. So
Just
I'll make a motion to repost the parking policy last revised on March 22nd, 2023.
I second.
motion made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I declare the motion carried.
All right. So is that, when would that go back up?
Tomorrow.
All right. So then what I would do is I would include that in my documents, you know,
Absolutely.
through town administrator.
And then we can, Roger can have his discussions with town administrator, and then we can discuss next month.
Yeah.
Good? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
This.
Library parking lot. Other business, we already talked about did we already talk about the board signatures? Yeah.
Nope,
nope.
they're right over here.
I have the form.
Oh, sorry,
Please
that's
pass it
that's
around.
not the,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can circulate that and get the signatures. Were there changes to the proposed meeting dates for 2026? Or was this just a confirmation?
I use this standing, what is it? Board.
Okay,
Fourth Wednesday.
so our meeting next month is August 27th at 7 p.m. If there are no major issues with that, I would say let's, now that we've circulated the proposed meeting dates, if everyone can take a look at it. And if there's any red flags, you know, one's on a holiday or something, we can talk about that and approve the dates next month. Professional Staff Development Day.
Was that the lunch?
That's
they
the
needed
20
that?
21st of August.
Right.
Oh, 21st?
Who was that? Who was that agenda from? Like, what are we talking about for that?
I just added that because I don't know if it's going to be off-site. I don't know what's been determined. I have no,
Yep.
Oh,
If the
so
board,
There's a date.
if the committee's, you're trying to get the, if the committee's in favor, what I would, suggest is that the leadership team of 4, discusses options for that day and then comes back to us. And if we have to have, I mean, if we just need to contribute, we can contribute. But if we need to make a decision as a board, we're gonna have to come up with another ad hoc meeting.
okay, so I can reach out to you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I know when we talked about it last month, or maybe even 2 months ago now, at this point, the thought was that it's a good opportunity to have the trustees, have lunch or something like that. So I still think that's an option, but
Okay.
I would say let's push it back to the leadership team and see if there's new ideas.
Very good. I'll check with them. Thank you.
So I'm torn about the executive session because I'm not 100% sure if that had to be defined in there. I didn't think it did, but
No, I think you just had to say you're going to executive session. You don't necessarily have to post the agenda. Is how I had read it.
I mean that's how we've always had it. We've always just had it as like the last agenda.
So is this related to discussing potential candidates for the library director position, or was it to discuss, are you saying that the feedback from the exit interview is necessarily related to part of this process?
I guess I'm saying outside, my understanding is you can go into executive session. You only have to list executive session on the agenda. You don't have to say the purpose of
I
the
think-
executive session on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
That was
That
my
as long as you're doing it for one of the allowed purposes.
And do we feel like that that's something that we need to address tonight, or can we talk about it next month? Or
If we were to defer it, I would defer it till next week. If we do, well, I guess I would urge us not to wait too long because I think there's things that can help us better support the transition in the meantime as well too. So we can make it pretty pithy, 5-10 minutes. But I think just making sure everyone hears it will be healthy. So,
Now I'm really curious, so
right, we can-
I vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would want to make it, if we went into executive session, to make it the last item so that
correct.
we would then reconvene only for the purposes of adjourning the main
'Cause then,
meeting. So
then the rest of the people can leave. So I don't think the only thing left in the agenda is just the standard next meeting. So I think
public comment.
if
Is there any other public input?
yeah, is there any other public comment?
Not me.
Is the
There's 2 people on there, or is that the bird? Is the bird one?
I'm
So
one
is it-
person.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Sarah and then Alice.
Allison? It says Allison.
Allison.
All right, so no public input, then the last question would be if people have any time schedule limitations that they can't stay for another 10 minutes, and we can just stick it to 10 minutes.
no, but I would ask that we keep the comments and questions to a minimum,
Yeah.
just for the purposes of
Yeah.
giving a report to the
that's fair.
board.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I would entertain a motion to enter executive session.
I move, Mr. Chair, I move that we enter into executive session per MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21 sub parentheses 8 to discuss items related to potential candidates for library director position and related activities. I guess.
Yep. Okay. So
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I declare the motion carried, so I just need to make a statement that says discuss these matters in open session will compromise the town's position and needs to be discussed in executive session.
And I think we'll just ask everyone who's online to.
Well,
No, we
that's
get
gonna be my next one. So,
Okay.
we are only gonna
Funding for Allison, was that?
That
Yeah.
was done in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I missed that somehow. Thank you.
It was part of the 25,000.
So did we vote on that?
Oh, I'm sorry, we do have to vote.
Yes.
All in favor? Did we vote?
Aye.
No,
Wait,
We voted to go into executive session.
Did we vote?
no.
No, we voted on
all
the-
in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
Opposed?